All right, everybody. How you doing? It's News Debate. I am Lee. Today's show is going to be a bit different. We are talking about, well, not President Trump, not not abortion, not AI, although maybe some of these, oh no, President Trump could come in. He could come in because he did do oh, I have to write this down. He did do something related to food. We are having the great food debates. Do you remember when Trump ate pizza with a fork? That happened a long time ago. Was not on my list, but I have surprised myself. What a way to start the show. It is News Debate. I am Lee. We got my patreon.com/NEWZ debate supporters Apostate Nate, as well as Glenn joining us, also friend of the show, Better Call Sal, joining us from Ireland. I want to hear some weird food facts from Ireland. I want to know, which part of the leprechaun do you eat? I know the leprechaun has gold, but like, does he have a great liver? Do you prefer more of a, I don't know, more of a tenderloin cut? What part of the leprechaun do you eat? We also have Ron, another patreon.com/NEWZ debate supporter. Ron, it is News Debate. I'm Lee. It is the great food debate. Let's talk with Apostate Nate, then we'll talk with Glenn, and then we'll talk with Ron and Better Call Sal in that order. Apostate Nate, how you doing today?
Lee, I think in a way I'm kind of dreading this particular show because we have talked about it for about a week now, and I'm expecting every last one of your food takes to be awful, if not abominable. So this should be fun.
Yeah, well, you and I disagree on Nosferatu. We sort of don't disagree on Wicked, because I just don't like that sort of a thing. I think we might agree a little bit more on food. So we'll have to see. If you want to listen to the previous show, rumble.com/user/NEWZ debate and twitch.tv/NEWZ debate. Is it still up on Twitch? It only lasts 7 days. It may or may not still be up on Twitch. Yeah, we Apostate Nate's a little disappointed in Uncle Lee. Okay, stay with us, Apostate Nate. Glenn is with us, but he's no longer a speaker. So Glenn, go ahead and join us as a speaker again. You work in the restaurant industry. You do cooking. So I want to know, what do you hate that you have to cook, or what do you wish was on the menu? Those sorts of things. So I'm talking about like weird pregnancy foods, things that you loved eating when you were a kid that maybe you're a little embarrassed to eat as an adult. Or if you have kids, do you want to make sure they don't do all these stupid things so then they'll disappoint their friends and loved ones when they're adults? And it could also be something really simple, like, I'm sure we'll get to this, but French fries. Most people like French fries, right? And a lot of people eat ketchup with their French fries, but do you pour it on the fries, or do you make like a little lake of ketchup and then dip the fry in the ketchup? I want to know this. This is the great food debate. Included in the great food debate is whether or not Pepsi or Coke is superior. That's my question right now over on stereo. And speaking of, from the great state of Georgia, Ron, how many Cokes have you had today?
Oh, how do I sound? Is it okay?
Hey, you sound fine.
Okay. So today I've had one, two, three Cokes. Actually, I had two Cokes and now I have a Pepsi. Due to what I ordered for food, they sell Pepsi products. But I had to say that without a doubt, I'll pick Coca-Cola. But I'll drink Pepsi if I have to. I won't complain. A lot more I can complain about than that. So
Do you have a
but it's
special
interesting.
allegiance to cola? So would you prefer a Pepsi over like a Mountain Dew or a
Oh
Sprite?
yes, always the cola instead of the Sprite or the Mountain Dew, especially over the Mountain Dew. Although Mountain Dew, it's good, but Sprite, I mean Sprite's great too. Sprite though is no caffeine, and so I like the Coca Cola or Pepsi because it has caffeine. Like I don't know why anyone would want to drink a diet caffeine-free Coca-Cola. That's like the worst thing you could ever drink
That's
or
another
taste
really
in your
good
life.
one. So diet caffeine free. Who would
Yeah,
drink
I remember
like
seeing that.
decaffeinated coffee?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Well, I
another
remember
really good
there
one.
was
Decaf coffee. Oh, there's so many good
I
ones.
mean, I drink decaffeinated Coke, like Diet Coke caffeine free. I love it. I don't drink it that often, but
Oh
I don't
wow,
mind it. I think it's
Ron,
pretty tasty.
put those
yeah, it's
crosshairs
good.
over on apostate Nate. I think the
Right.
words were, what insane psycho of a person. This is an exact quote from Ron, in case you just didn't hear. What insane psycho person would drink diet caffeine free soda?
No.
And that person is apostate Nate.
No, if you want to be smart about your health and you want to eliminate caffeine altogether. So I applaud Apostate Nate for doing that. I prefer though in my life right now I'd like to have that caffeine for sure.
Yeah, it's I get it. I agree with you. It's probably certainly not worse for you, I don't think, and probably better for you. But especially when we get into coffee, I feel like what's the point? I can see the value in drinking a soda because I will drink Sprite. I can see the value of drinking a soda that doesn't have caffeine. Um, but it's sort of like, well, wouldn't I rather have something else? And especially once we get to coffee. So, Apostate Nate, we're going to hear from Better Call Sal in a moment, and someone else is requesting to speak. We'll get to you in a second. But Apostate Nate, was there a specific reason that you went down the route of diet, so zero, free, whatever the marketing term is,
Sure.
and
Yeah, that's really
caffeine
simple,
free?
Lee. Yeah. Well, I don't always go caffeine free. I'm just saying that diet caffeine free is fine for me. I started down that route because regular sodas, particularly ones made with high fructose corn syrup, give me really, really bad stomach pains. So that's why it hurts. I got to drink the diet stuff.
So I'm sorry to hear that, but as someone who doesn't have stomach pain with soda, like I can understand drinking too much and that gives me some sort of discomfort, but just drinking one versus the other, I don't have discomfort. So what kind of stomach pain do you have when you drink a soda that you just now avoid?
It's a very tight pain that seems to run laterally or about across the middle of the gut by the belly button. And it definitely feels like a constant, semi sharp stab. No sugary sodas for me, Lee.
Well, if it sounds like someone's, or if it sounds like, if it feels like Lee, when I drink a soda, it sounds like someone's stabbing me. It feels like someone's stabbing me in the belly button. I can imagine, yes, I will drink the diet caffeine free option. And that's something that hits you later in life. I assume you weren't like a 12-year-old. Hey, Billy, you want a Pepsi? Yes, I do. Oh my gosh, my belly. This happened
Correct.
later.
I was about 22 or 23 when my stomach couldn't tolerate like regular sugary sodas anymore. Hold on one second here.
So yeah, we'll wait to hear back from Apostate Nate. But I'm wondering, some people can have coffee and the caffeine affects them differently than it does with soda or than it does with tea. So I'm wondering if you eat like a candy bar that has a lot of sugar, or if you drink a soda that has a lot of sugar, or if you, and we can get to this. Does anyone today, as an adult or in the past, did you ever put literal just scoops of sugar on your cereal to make it sweeter? So if you do that, aside from having no teeth at the end of all these taste tests, does that affect you differently? That's an interesting question. Are you still with us, Apostate Nate, or?
Yeah, I'm here. I just had to get something for my daughter real quick. I don't get pains from other sweets. I can go to the Cheesecake Factory and get a 2,000 calorie something awful for me and eat it and be fine. Ice cream, even like chocolate milk, orange juice, very high sugar items. It's the sugary sodas that disagree with me.
Wow, okay. The more you know. So you are going the diets and also caffeine free. Does the caffeine affect you? Is that why you've done the double whammy?
Well, I haven't done quite the double whammy, Lee. I'm just saying that I would drink the caffeine free stuff and often do. And quite honestly, if it's late at night, yeah, I want a Sprite in my fridge instead of a Coke.
That's interesting. Yeah, if I drink coffee late at night, it does affect me. And if I drink coffee at any time of the day, like I can kind of feel, okay, I've just had a coffee. I've never felt that way in my life, my entire life with tea, even though I think some teas have more caffeine. And I've never felt that way with soda ever. I can't ever now, I think maybe I've had a sugar rush and maybe that has kept me up, but the way I feel after drinking coffee, I've never felt that way after drinking soda. So, okay, that's interesting. Stay with us, Apostate Nate. We now have Glenn, our chef, our cook guy in the north in Canada, the 51st state. One day. Glenn, how are you doing?
A little worn out. I went a little intense in my workout, and my upper body's jello. But other than that, I'm good.
Now, do you like Jello? Jello has like pig in it, has pork, right?
I don't eat jello. No. I don't remember what's in it because I haven't looked in a long time, and I usually don't make jello because I don't know. I eat pretty clean, really. Like what the food I like is generally like healthy foods. I generally don't like crappy food, and just as a person. So
So, I
I
mean,
don't
you
know.
don't like
And yeah, I
delicious
have
food
a
then?
pet peeve about food.
You just eat salads and hang out with other
No, I
hippies
know how to
and
cook food. I could make the food that most people call boring and make it absolutely fucking delicious, and it's fantastic. Nothing's boring when you know how to cook, bud.
all right.
I was very Canadian.
Hey, bud, hoser. Yeah. Fire without a boot. That's great. Okay. So thus far we've talked about diets and caffeine-free sodas. What are your thoughts on diet and caffeine-free sodas? I have a whole long list, but those are the ones that popped up. Oh, also choose Pepsi or Coke.
Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but the recipe for Coca-Cola and Pepsi are actually different in the United States and in Canada, and they're kind of opposite. So, like in Canada, the sweeter, more carbonated drink is Coca-Cola, and the more caffeinated, less carbonated drink is Pepsi.
Wait,
I
time
prefer
out.
the
So
Pepsi
I know that
because I like
some
the caffeinated
countries will
drinks.
force that you have to have sugar, and other countries will allow you to have the high fructose corn syrup. I think we're the high fructose corn syrup type of country, but I was not aware that the recipe changes. In fact, I think isn't that what Coke has been really good about is that it's like the most available soda around the world and it's the same taste?
Uh, Maybe I'm not sure, but like I know like for the most part, most Americans will choose Coke over Pepsi. But if you ask Canadians, most Canadians will choose Pepsi over Coke. But the stupid part is like it's for the exact same reason. So I'm just assuming that like that the recipes are just slightly different. Like it's just a slightly different Coca-Cola in Canada. It's just a slightly different Pepsi.
Okay, so this is
But no,
fantastic.
I can't
I'm gonna
confirm that as
share
actual
this
facts.
over on rumble.com/user/NEWZ debate and also twitch.tv/NEWZ debate. I didn't realize there was more than just the sugar versus high fructose corn syrup. So thanks for telling me this, Glenn. You said most Canadians would choose, um, did you say Pepsi?
Pepsi. I
And
said
is
Pepsi.
that true for you?
It's true for me. Yeah, I stopped. I started working out, and so I don't really drink Pepsi anymore either. But if I
So you
was
take
to
a
drink a
Pepsi
pop,
over
it
a
would be
Coke.
a
Okay.
Pepsi.
Oh, and he says pop. Okay. I would also take a Pepsi, but that's American Pepsi. I'm not aware of you said maybe it flips in Canada. Ron is a Coke, but he will drink Pepsi. And uh, Apostate Nate, are you Coke or Pepsi?
Lee, you know the answer to that one. I am decidedly Team Coke.
That's
And I
fine.
wanted to
Yeah.
add to what Glenn was saying. McDonald's Corp has its own Coca-Cola formula sold nowhere else but McDonald's. That's a fact.
I'm guessing the McDonald's one is sugarier than the normal one. Is that the case, Apostate Nate?
You know what? I've always wanted to kind of look into the history of how that happened, if it's available. My guess would be is that McDonald's probably facilitated a taste test and then said, if we can have the better result in our machines, then you can have Coke in our stores for a long time. That would be my guess.
Let me look this up. I'll ask
Actually,
ChatGPT.
I
Oh, Glenn, do you know?
actually do know the answer to that. They specifically made their Coca-Cola to go very good with their burgers. It was a pairing. They're like, we want a Coca-Cola. This tastes really freaking good with our McDonald's hamburger, and so that's why they do that. It's the
I'm just
pairing.
trying to figure out what that would be so I could understand that's the goal, but what does that mean? Okay, so I asked ChatGPT. I haven't looked and seen what it wrote yet, though, so we'll get to that. But okay, so according to ChatGPT, Coca-Cola and Pepsi may have sugar versus high fructose corn syrup, depending on where you are. In Mexico and Europe, they often use real cane sugar, which people say gives a cleaner, smoother taste. And so Mexican Coke made with this cane sugar is popular in the US for its different flavor. But some countries adjust the formula to match local taste preferences. In Japan, Coca-Cola has okay, well that's peach Coke and lemon Coke. That's not Coke. Okay. In India, both Coke and Pepsi have less sweetness due to consumer preference. In Russia, Pepsi was once sweetened with beef sugar. I'm sorry, beet sugar. Beef sugar would have been funny. Beet sugar instead of cane sugar or high fructose corn syrup. Some regions have higher or lower caffeine levels depending on regulations. In Europe, soft drink caffeine levels are often lower than in North America. Of course, everything's better in Europe when it comes to food. Ooh, China has salted caramel Pepsi. That's awesome. And fiber plus Coca-Cola with dietary fiber. Ooh, and they sometimes have a date sweetened version of Coke in the Middle East. And then sometimes it'll say like light versus diet in different countries. Oh, yeah. And then there's water differences. Taste can change slightly based on the local water source. And then, so about McDonald's, does it have its own Coke recipe? Yes, it's slightly different from regular Coca-Cola you buy in cans or bottles. It's made from the same Coca-Cola syrup, so the same base flavor, but it follows special procedures that give it a unique taste. They get the syrup delivered in stainless steel tanks. I think sometimes they come in like bags, and so this is a way they do it at McDonald's. Yeah, most restaurants use plastic bags. Steel tanks keep the syrup fresher and preserve its taste better. They also use a water filtration system that's apparently state of the art, which affects the taste of the final soda. And they slightly adjust the syrup to carbonation ratio to make the taste crisper and more refreshing. And it's calibrated specifically for McDonald's cups and straws. I'm not sure what that means, but okay. I guess if you put McDonald's Coke in Coke from another fast food restaurant, it won't taste as good. I don't know. The McDonald's cups give it flavor. Okay. So unlike many restaurants that chill the soda using ice, McDonald's pre-chills both the syrup and water before mixing them. It makes it colder and more carbonated. It helps the bubbles last longer. Okay, I can imagine that. Because if you have like a big cup of Coke from McDonald's and it just sits out, I think it stays fresher longer than if you just poured a can into a McDonald's cup from home. I buy that. And McDonald's adjusts the syrup mix, knowing that people add ice. So when the ice melts, the Coke still tastes balanced rather than watered down. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. So if you go to a McDonald's and say no ice, I guess you'll get like a sweeter, more carbonated version. And McDonald's cup lids apparently help preserve fizz. I mean, I guess if you have a lid on it, I would buy that, but it's hard for me to imagine that their lid design is so good that it helps better than another company's lid design. So it's not exactly a different recipe. It's mostly just the way they prepare it, but there are small differences like the level of syrup to carbonated water. All right, good times. It's News Debate. I'm Lee. We're live over on Stereo. We're live on Twitter Spaces, Twitch, and Rumble. All those links at bit.ly/NEWZ debate. So Ron and Apostate Nate and Glenn, just raise your hand when you guys are ready to talk. And let's hear now from Better Call Sal in Ireland. Better Call Sal. Which part of the leprechaun is the tastiest? I've always wanted to know. I guess it's all tasty. No specific part. Partly. I cannot hear you, Better Call Sal. Looks like you're unmuted, but I don't hear you.
Lee, is just a quick note on Sal here. Ireland, for some time, has really been wrecked by some recent weather, and for a while, 75% of the island was without power. So Sal's been kind of in and out with her connection quality.
Yeah, I saw that in the news, and it was interesting because sometime in the recent past, but not so recently, Sal was in her car and was listening and calling into the show. She was like charging her devices in her car because her power was out and it was high winds and stuff. So I guess Ireland has had some bad luck for the last couple of months or something. Are you still with us, Better Call Sal? Can you join us? Yeah, I see you unmuted, but I just don't hear you. Does anyone else hear her? It might be a Elon problem, but I'm not hearing her.
I don't hear.
I don't.
I don't hear
her, Lee. But Sal would probably say that Ireland's had bad luck for at least like 800 or 900 years. Definitely not a short span of time.
Yeah, I know Ireland's had problems, but I got to say, for a country that does not really have much power around the world, they have a lot of cultural soft power. But for a country that does not have a huge military, is not particularly an economic powerhouse, I know that Ireland does a lot of tax savings for companies, so people will have their corporate headquarters in Ireland. Thanks a lot, Ireland. I don't know if Ireland's particularly been a bad off country. I mean, I know some people who've lived in Ireland and it's doing pretty well.
Lee, I'm more so talking about the very, very ancient conflict between the Irish and the British, where the British basically starved them out for centuries. Nasty stuff.
Yeah, but I once again, Europe's kind of full of all that stuff. Go anywhere in Europe and like horrible stuff has happened for the last however many 100 years, but it's been pretty good since World War II. I know there's been, do they call it the violence or the troubles or whatever they called the Protestants versus the Catholics? So like, okay, particularly that was not a great time, but I don't know. If I could roll the dice, I think I would have been happier and better off being born Irish than being born in the United States. Sorry to poo-poo your line of thinking, Apostate Nate. It is News Debate. I'm Lee. So yeah, I Better Call Sal. I think she might have left the room and came back in. I got another request for her to speak. That's always a good bet. You can leave the room and come back. You can usually, I think the best is to just turn off your app, like swipe it up and come back in. That sometimes a good reset. I have accepted your speaker request, Better Call Sal. Really interested to hear what the best part of the leprechaun is. And do the ones that are the smallest taste the best, or do the ones that are a little bigger taste better? I mean, there's a lot of range, I bet, on sizes and flavors of leprechauns. I'm not sure what the oh, okay, now she's back. Are you with us, Better Call Sal? All right. Well, we'll keep working on that. Glenn, I bet there's a Irish people in Canada. Have you ever eaten a leprechaun? How did it taste?
I've never eaten a leprechaun, but just like from a chef knowledge on how that would work, the younger leprechauns would be the tastier leprechauns because they haven't moved so much. So like you don't eat a 6-year-old cow. That cow is going to be tough. It's going to be gross. You just don't do it. And so obviously you'd want the child leprechauns to eat. You wouldn't want to eat the adults. They just be gross and tough.
So you're talking about
They'd
the
have all
veal leprechauns. We should be eating leprechaun children.
Yeah, leprechaun veal. It seems like the right way to go about it.
Okay, so if you capture a leprechaun family, murder the parents. They don't need to see what you're gonna do.
No, you
So
don't
just murder them
Steal
so
their
they don't
gold.
see it. Take their gold and then eat their children. Wow, thanks, Glenn.
You're welcome.
Apostate Nate, yeah, back to you.
Oh, Lee, I don't know what the tastiest part of a leprechaun is, and quite frankly, I don't care, and I wouldn't find out even if I found a leprechaun, because if Apostate Nate finds a leprechaun, that son of a bitch is going right into a zoo. There are going to be movies, hats, t-shirts, maybe some amusement rides. Eat it, Lee. Use your brain. What are you thinking?
Well, there's the I'm going to do my own thing with the leprechaun, and then there's the I'm going to use the leprechaun as a great business opportunity. So you definitely went down that path. I was thinking more like, well, how can this work out for Lee? Yeah. So okay, different paths, different paths. Better Call Sal has tweeted that she can't hear anything. So my go-to move for this has happened with some different people, is that you just kill the app. So whatever phone you have, Android or iOS, there's a difference between leaving the room and coming back in versus you kill the app, so the app's not active. Then you go back in and try to join that way. I apologize because that sounds ridiculous, but that's the weird situation now that we have with Twitter Spaces. It wasn't like that before, like a year ago. It's something that's popped up sooner rather than earlier, or later rather than it's more of a recent development, because there were times we used Twitter Spaces and we never ever had a single issue. And then they started expanding, and now you can run Twitter Spaces on a web browser. You used to just be able to join from a web browser as a speaker, but now you can host on a web browser. So maybe it has introduced new complexities, whatever it is. Elon, get your shit together. So I apologize. Better Call Sal, you're still with us. You can just go ahead and unmute yourself and talk at any point if we can get that to work, and then we'll talk to you. So just keep trying to do that. Oh, hey, there you are.
Yeah, I'm up for exporting leprechauns, but they're really hard to find, guys. They really are. So I don't know, and I'm not sure if the Irish government would approve of me exporting leprechaun steaks. They would be tiny, but yeah, I don't know if the Irish government would be up for that. But anyway, they might have some decent ass chicks. I don't know. But yeah, Coke or Pepsi? Coke every day. Cannot drink Pepsi. Not able to. Never will. And 7 Up over Sprite. Cannot drink Sprite. Cannot stand the taste of it. Yeah, and yes, every time I'm challenged with Coke and Pepsi, I will pick Coke every time. And not that I
Wow,
drink the stuff very
you're
often anymore.
stronger pro Coke than even Ron. All right, you don't like Sprite. Dang, those are fighting words. What about diets and caffeine free? I'm not opposed to either of those, but I've never really, especially the caffeine free part, aside from drinking a Sprite. Yeah, I feel like I would just go for a different type of drink altogether.
Yeah, I mean, a Coke is a Coke, full fat, red can. None of this zero shit, none of this diet crap, none of that. Just full fat Coke. Again, as Glenn was saying, our Coke isn't as sweet as America's. And I don't know about Pepsi. I don't care. Yeah, just a can of full fat Coke. I'll take that any day.
I like that you say Full fat. It makes it sound like
And
it's milk or something. Is that a normal Irish thing rather than saying like zero or diet? You say full fat?
well, yeah, yeah, we would say because there's so many options. There's zero. There's diet. It's like, no, give me a full fat Coke. It's all about full fat Coke. But yeah, but I don't drink an awful lot of Coke anymore. I used to,
And so when
and
it comes to
caffeine free,
Coke,
you
I
might
mean,
as well go
Ron
drink.
is from Georgia, so that makes sense. Like that's a regional thing sometimes in the US. So when you were young in Ireland, did you drink Coke? Is that why you prefer Coke? Do you know why you prefer Coke?
Yeah, yeah, I much prefer. Yeah, yeah. It's just Pepsi didn't really get here till the 80s, so we were all addicted to Coke before Pepsi even got here.
I think Pepsi is a bit newer. I don't know when it first like became nationally available in the United States, but I think most places probably didn't get Pepsi until later. And that's the Coke advantage is that Coke was around the world for some time now, and Pepsi was a late comer. I gotta say, I prefer Pepsi. I don't know how it tastes where you are, but given the choice, I don't think I ever would choose Coke over Pepsi. I can't think of a single time I ever have in my entire life. Children, I think, given the choice, would generally prefer the sugary one, which for me has always been Pepsi. And so I guess I could argue it's the same thing. I asked Better Call Sal. She drank Coke when she was growing up, and now she likes Coke. So okay, I guess I prefer Pepsi because I drank that when I was younger. And if I was 60 or 70 or whatever, or if I'd grown up in a different part of the world, maybe I would prefer the cola. But I don't know. For me, like the sugary one just tastes better. I don't know if I would. If you gave me like a normal Mountain Dew and then it was like, Lee, this one has less sugar, I don't know that I would ever choose that. I could choose one that has a sugar substitute, but it still would have to taste sweet. I've never had a diet soda, and at least recently, I think when I was younger they were not as good as they are now. I've never drank one and been like, oh, it's less sweet. I think the thing they're always striving for with diet light zero branding is that it tastes just like the original but without sugar. So yeah, I prefer the sugary drink. So Better Call Saul, when you drink a Pepsi, is it just too much? You're like, oh, it's too much sugar.
No, I just don't drink it, Lee. I mean, my kids often try to trick me. They would say, "Do you want a drink?" And I'll say, "What is it?" And they will say, "It's Coke." And I will take a sip and I will go, "That's not Coke. That's Pepsi. I don't want it." But they always try to trick me up, but
I know, but
it just never
that's
happened
not
because
answering the question. So you can like one because you like it because you're used to it. I get it. But then is it that the Pepsi tastes bad or is it that the Pepsi is too sweet?
no, it just doesn't taste right. It just,
So it's perfectly
it's,
fine. It just doesn't taste the way you want it to, but it's not
no,
bad.
yeah. If there was nothing else to drink, I would drink Pepsi. Um, but again, I prefer to drink carbonated water than
Yeah, and
Sprite.
that's sometimes a European, a regional thing is sometimes you go
Yeah,
places and people will drink carbonated water, just carbonated water.
yeah,
Sometimes they'll drink like a LaCroix sort of there's some flavor in it. I've been places where people preferred to buy just normal carbonated water and then they had like syrups and they would like pour a little bit in there and mix it. Yeah, that's much less popular in the US, but things like LaCroix, your flavored carbonated waters, I don't know if they were ever popular in the US, so I don't know if I'd call it a comeback, but they've become more popular. Just like we have those White Claw, carbonated water alcohol drinks have become more popular lately in the United States as well. So yeah, no, that's a real thing. Sometimes people don't even go for a soda. Soda is very common and popular in the US. Other places might not even be your go-to drink. Better Call Sal, what did you think about Glenn's comment that if you're going to eat a leprechaun, you should actually eat veal leprechaun, so children versus adults? Was that a good? Does that make sense to you?
I understand it. I would have thought the meat is tender, but I still think that yeah, we're going to have issues exporting leprechaun. Um, I don't even know if there's female leprechauns because leprechauns tend to be male.
That's a good
So
point.
I don't even know if there's
I don't know if I've ever seen a female leprechaun depicted.
no.
Are there female
It's not.
leprechauns?
I don't think it's something that um, exists because they all come from the fairy realm. So there's the fairies, and there's a whole there's 6 or 7. There'd be a
Let everybody
family.
know that there are no female leprechauns because all leprechauns are fairies. Sometimes you can't even write these jokes.
Talk about a glass ceiling at the end of the rainbow, huh?
Yeah. They're all fairies.
Sure.
How do these kids
Yeah.
happen? Well, they adopt. The fairies adopt. Glenn, I have a question for you, Glenn. So if there are no children, if they're only old men leprechauns, is there like a cut of beef or pork if you have like an older animal? Go for this one. What do you do if you are working with less than optimal aged animals?
Well, I mean, there's a few ways you go with that one. Obviously, they're gonna be a little tougher, so you want to go with the low, slow cooking method, kind of like a brisket, probably. And I would say like their back or their stomach would probably be the best. Because I mean, on a pig, the stomach's the bacon, and bacon's delicious. So like, and the backs on a cow is like the tenderloin. So obviously that would be the good place to go to. But yeah, you'd have to cook it really slow, and you also prefer him to have not busted a nut before. So like what they use bull and sausage, but it's a bull that hasn't came before because once they jizz, it tastes weird, and I don't know how to explain, but an old butcher told me that when I worked
Berries
at a
and
butcher
jizz,
shop.
everybody. Those two words came out of people's mouths within about 3 minutes of each other. All right, it's news debate, everybody. That's it. Go for the stomach, go for the back, but don't let them come. Thanks for that, Glenn. Reggie has tweeted. Reggie, feel free to request to speak. Otherwise, we'll just go through your tweets. Pepsi over Coke. So Reggie has chosen the correct path in life. Pineapple on pizza, yes. I'll take near anything on pizza. We haven't got to pineapple on pizza yet, but that's the normal food debate that people always have. And then Reggie says, screw diet and sugar free. I have no problem with diet zero options. I just want them to taste okay. And when I was very young, I remember for some reason I got some Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi, and I just never wanted to drink it ever again. It just was not good. But as an adult, it's a lot more available. You see alcohol free beer in the grocery store a lot more than I ever saw before. And I didn't have one when I was a kid, but if I did, I'm sure it would not have been as good as it is now. And I think the same thing is free with the sugar substitutes. I would prefer real sugar or sugar cane to high fructose corn syrup. I've had those in my life, and I thought they tasted slightly better, but I'm not opposed to the high fructose corn syrup. But the last time I had Coke Zero or whatever they call Diet Pepsi nowadays, I thought it tasted okay. So I think they've kind of gotten to where they need to be. And sugar is horrible for you. I mean, it is just absolutely horrible for you. I'm talking about Pepsi and Coke. Yes, Ron, your hand is up.
If you drink the 12-ounce glass bottles imported from Mexico, they have real cane sugar as opposed to the high fructose corn syrup. I think is the correct way to say it. But also, Robert Kennedy Jr. is supposedly an advocate for changing ours to the real cane sugar, which I am a fan of. I think it's a great idea. That, but also it's just being in a glass bottle that's special. It's really something different when you drink from a glass bottle as opposed to a aluminum can, because in the glass bottle I will drink all of it as opposed to half of it sometimes with aluminum. Just it's just a different taste, different experience.
Yeah, my preferences go plastic bottle worst, um, can to glass bottle. So anything with like a metal top that you gotta rip off with a bottle opener, that's the best. Can, if it's cold, is perfectly fine. But a warm can just doesn't taste great. I think I've had a warm glass bottle and it tasted surprisingly good. The glass bottle's the best. The can is second best, and the plastic bottle is the worst. Yeah, I agree with you. And if hey, if that's the one thing we can get from Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I'll take it. I think he's doing his confirmation hearings right around now. So pay attention to that one. Pepsi and Coca-Cola lovers, Robert F. Kennedy's got your interests at heart. Reggie writes, I always thought leprechauns abducted kids and turned them into leprechauns. Wow, making them both veal and not veal at the same time. Better Call Sal, I don't remember this, but do leprechauns steal children?
I can't really I don't know. I know they don't do it anymore because we'd be missing our kids. I do have some memory, but how do they make children, which would be anywhere between 2 foot and 4 foot? I don't know how they make them like 2.5 inches tall.
Wait, time out. So in the
Yeah,
US, I thought our version of leprechauns were basically like what's the correct term? Vertically challenged, the follow the yellow brick road size people. And so if you took a child and stopped them from growing and they got older, like okay, that's a leprechaun right there. But in Ireland, leprechauns are like inches tall.
they're tiny little sprites. They're tiny. They're like um, it's all hearsay because I've never actually seen evidence of a leprechaun. Um, but
Clearly. All right, everybody, the cat's out of the bag. Sorry. Leprechauns are not real. A company makes your Lucky Charms, not an actual leprechaun. But leprechauns, right? Everybody, leprechauns are like the what do you call the short people in the Wizard of Oz? The Munchkins. They're like Munchkin size. I never thought they were like. Do you say troll? Like those tiny little troll dolls? Aren't those like supposed to be really really tiny, like mice
yeah,
or
if they're
something?
that size, yeah, they would be that size. They're really tiny but fierce.
But
Um,
fierce and with a beard. Glenn, your hand is up. How big are leprechauns in Canada?
We have Bigfoot. We don't have leprechauns but Bigfoot probably ate them. And Bigfoot's pretty big. He's like 7 feet tall, 350 guy.
You say
Big
Bigfoot
long
or
beard.
do you say Yeti? Maybe there's a difference between the two. I always say Bigfoot.
I think the Yetis in like the like in the southern Rocky Mountains because he's a pussy, and Bigfoot stays up north where it's cold because he's a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah, Bigfoot likes hockey, so he lives in the Great White North. Okay, all right, all right.
Yeah.
So let's move on to what food does Bigfoot eat? Okay, so we've done the Coke versus Pepsi. Gosh, really quick. So Ron prefers Coke. Better Call Sal prefers Coke. Apostate Nate prefers Coke. I prefer Pepsi. Glenn prefers Pepsi, and Reggie. Oh wow, it's a tie. Thus far, it's a tie. It's a tie. Look at that. Okay, let's think here. Does anybody have a food hot take that they want to go to? I have a bunch written down, and I have a few websites. I'm sure most of us are probably thinking of the same ones. any of my patreon.com/NEWC debate supporters. So Glenn or Apostate Nate or Ron. Ah, yes, Glenn, your hand was up. And then we'll go with Apostate Nate. What's your food debate?
So, like, I think dill is highly overrated and it isn't very good. I don't like dill. Bad
Oh,
thing.
you don't
And
like
also,
dill? You don't like dill pickles or like dill flavored chips?
no, absolutely can't stand it. I hate it.
Same,
That
Glenn.
makes-
I have. Why? Why would people put that in their mouth on purpose?
So, do you like sweet pickles? Do you not like any pickles?
I actually don't like pickles either.
Wow.
I have a lot. I can go on and on about my food pet peeves. Like I just have a lot of them.
Wow, I can't believe you don't like dill. You can put a dill pickle on a sandwich. You can just have, you don't have to get a huge dill pickle like they sell sometimes. But man, every once in a while, and I haven't had one for a while, a dill pickle. All right, Apostate Nate
No.
is also no dill pickle. Ron, do you
I'm
like
also
dill?
oh, sorry, Lee. I thought you
No,
were
that's all right. Apostate Nate.
segueing into me, but I don't like pickles either. In fact, I would say that I have a white hot hatred for them because, in my opinion, they're one of the condiments that you can't take off because the pickle juices get it. Pickles colonize the taste of everything else. If you put pickles on something, just eat a jar of fucking pickles because that's all you're going to taste.
So if you get a hamburger, you always make sure that there's no pickles on there?
Absolutely. And I'll take it right back because it's going to soak into the meat. It's going to soak into the bun. Forget it.
Wow. I thought pickles were generally just a thing people like. Two people really don't like it. Ron, your hand's up. Do you like pickles?
I do. Sometimes I feel like a hamburger was just plain with only pickles.
Yeah, finally someone with reason.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A has, their chicken sandwich, their regular chicken sandwich has like the two pickles on it, and that's something that I really enjoy about the whole. But he's right; it um, does infiltrate the meat and everything, so you can't. You have to get it really. You can't just take them off. But I feel the same way about onions. Pretty much.
Okay, so let's go with onions then. So I like onions in food. I would never eat an onion by itself. I would eat a pickle, a dill pickle by itself. Heck yeah. But if there's onions on a burger or onions on a hot dog or whatever, I would always be like, yes, please. That sounds great. Ron and I were on the same page. Apostate Nate, what do you think about onions?
So onions for me are a food that I will, especially like a sweet red Hawaiian onion. I love to eat those by like the little slivers. Lee, if you want to ruin my life, make me a sandwich and put caramelized onions on it. Okay? You
Well,
at
that's a
least
little
ruin my day.
different. Caramelized onions certainly are a little bit different, but just you're okay with just onions.
Yeah, but they got to be raw. In fact, I don't prefer most vegetables cooked. I prefer most vegetables raw.
All right. All right. Well, at least you're getting your vegetables. Glenn, the chef among us, your thoughts on onions?
Well, I mean, there's like different types of onions, and so like the purple onions, those are absolutely fantastic on a sandwich.
I like
As
the purple
Apostate Nate was
onions.
saying, like you could eat the little slivers of them. They're sweet, they're tasty, but like a yellow onion, that's just meant for cooking. Unless you caramelize the shit out of it with a lot of salt, some sugar, lots of fat, and you just caramelize the crap out of it, turn it nice and dark brown, and then you put that on a burger. It's absolutely fantastic. Otherwise, just use the purple onion. But onions are great. They I put them on almost anything if I can.
Yeah, I like onions, especially the purple ones. Oh yeah, I'm not a huge fan of caramelized onions, but I don't think I'd ever turn them down. Yeah, I like the onions. Reggie says onions, like them and have eaten them by themselves before. Oh yeah. Well, if I'm cooking and I chop up some onions and I've like washed them before I chop them up so they're clean. Yeah, I'll have a little bit here and there. Or if I'm, oh, I don't know, eating a salad or something, and there's just a little bit of onion here, like, yeah, of course. But for me, onions usually are part of something as opposed to I'll eat just a dill pickle on its own. I'm not a huge fan of those huge ones that come wrapped up in plastic that you can buy like at a gas station. But oh no, I am a fan of the dill pickle. Heck yeah. Yes, Better Call Sal. I think Elon hates you, Better Call Sal. I know you've just unmuted yourself, but I cannot hear you. So I guess we're back in that song and dance again.
Hey, Lee, Lee, before I forget, every August, the city of Pittsburgh, late August, they host an event called Picklesburg. They close down the Roberto Clemente Bridge, and it's pickle everything: pickled beer, pickled desserts, of course, lots of pickle sandwiches, pickle shirts, hats. If you like pickles, Lee, and you don't go there, well, I would have to question your true love for pickles now, wouldn't I?
So I'm guessing that's the day where you become like Nosferatu and climb in your coffin and then do not go outside for however many days till the smell of pickles
I mean,
dissipates.
I just don't go to the event, Lee. It does take me about half an hour to drive into the city of Pittsburgh, so the smell dissipates by the time it gets to my county.
Dude, that's why you like Nosferatu. Now I know why. You're like, Lee, I can really understand Nosferatu because, like him, I also climb into a coffin once a year. I finally have gotten down to it. All right, it's News Debate. I'm Lee. I think Better Call Sal is doing that thing. There's always one person. Sometimes it's Shannon. I think one time it was Patrice. It's always one person who's screwed over by Twitter, and then they have to end up doing it. I think one time it's been Ron before. Every once in a while, someone just gets screwed. But speaking of Patrice and Ron and Shannon, really appreciate everybody who supports me over on patreon.com/NEWZ debate. That includes Postate Nate, Better Vibes, Lola, Shannon, Mojo, Sneaky Elbow, Ron, Natasha, Nick, MC Funk, Bjorn, and Patrice and Glenn. Really appreciate all you guys. Okay, so let's go back to my main list here. Let's do the low hanging fruit. This is the one everybody always talks about. I think it's been kind of debated, so it's kind of less fun. I remember there was a point, whenever it was, when talking about pineapple on pizza was actually quite interesting, but maybe it's been done to death. Pineapple on pizza is never something I go for. It's never something I say, oh, we're getting pizza. How about getting some pineapple and, ham? Usually that's what it is, right? I don't think I've ever had pineapple and beef or pineapple and sausage. It's always some sort of ham and pineapple. But if it's at a party and there's a bunch of pizzas, if I'm at someone's whatever and there's a bunch of pizzas, I'll probably help myself to the pineapple pizza. I don't turn it down. I don't think it's like wrong. And I've had some pretty good pineapple on pizza. What is it? It's the savory plus the sweet. I think it tastes really good. The sort of pushback on pineapple on pizza at first did not make a lot of sense to me. Like, it tastes good. What's the problem? But I guess there's two anti-movements. There's it just isn't right. So we don't care about how it tastes. It's just that's not pizza. And then there's the people who actually just don't like it. So for me, I don't care. I've done enough traveling to know that pizza is very different, all the different places that you go in the world. So I don't care about that's not pizza. And I think it tastes fine. It tastes good. It's not my favorite. So I'm not opposed to it in any way at all. What are people's thoughts on pineapple on pizza? Glenn, you're a
Lee,
chef.
that's all yours. It's all yours, Lee. I remember watching somebody ask Gordon Ramsay about this question. It might have been Jimmy Kimmel or some other equivalent late night host. And he just squinted hard and looked and said, pineapple on pizza. Lee, the master chef has spoken, and the apostate Nate shares the opinion.
Why is that a valid degradation of pineapple on pizza? The fact that that's not what should happen. Like, if it tastes good, I mean, there's a bunch of fusion foods that are not supposed to happen. It either tastes good or it's not tasting good, right? So do you think pineapple on pizza actually tastes okay and you just can't get past your hatred of it?
No, I don't think it tastes very good. But even if, honestly, I do fall into that camp, I think, where I don't care what the taste is. I know in my mind, in my heart, somehow I'm connected to the universe that this is not a feasible combination. Trying to figure out something exact here is hardly. It's kind of like smut, but you know it when you see it. And
Yeah, you
I
know
know
when
the
you see it.
dangers of, yes, and I know the dangers of pineapple on pizza. I just know it when I see it.
See, but by the same token, someone who doesn't put pickles on their hamburger, I think, is like not really eating a hamburger. Like, of course, you can eat a plain hamburger, but who eats that? Like, you know, anytime you go to a fast food
This
restaurant, or
girl
even if you
does.
go to a
I do.
diner and you order a hamburger or a cheeseburger, you would have to ask to not have pickles on it, right? So, I mean, by your own logic, what you're doing is blasphemy.
Uh, it could be, Lee, for sure. But blasphemy is literally in my profile.
Yeah, there it is. That's fair. Hey, call a spade a spade. Better call Sal. Are you back with us?
Am I back with you?
Yeah, you're back. Great. What do
Oh,
the Irish think about pineapple on pizza?
can I just go back to the whole bit that I missed with the gherkins and the onions and
Wow,
the burgers?
gherkins. Yeah, dill pickles, onions. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, pickles, I will eat around the pickle so that the last bite is the pickle with the burger. It is my favorite restaurant.
We're losing Better Call Sal here. The internet is not being cooperative, but it was really funny. She was
My
like, "Lee, I make sure the last bite is the one with the pickle because it is my favorite." Like the part that stretched out because of the internet was the favorite. So really, really stuck it to apostate Nate there. Better Call Sal. That was great.
Lee, that doesn't do anything. Doesn't stick it to me. That means Sal can have all the pickles, and she can have all the pickles. You couldn't pay me to eat one.
All the pickles for Better Call Sal. And what are your thoughts on onions, Sal?
love onions, love thinly sliced red onions. They're amazing. I don't know why people call them red onions because they're purple. Uh, but
Is there no
my
such thing
biggest
as a
pet
red
peeve,
onion? I thought there were red onions and purple onions.
well, in Ireland, any purple onion is called a red onion.
Glenn, is there such a thing as a red
Also,
onion, or is it just purple and red is the same
it's
thing?
probably the exact same thing. Yeah. But
But let me ask Glenn. Yeah, you're the resident chef. It's the same thing?
That's the same thing.
Really? I thought
Red
there was
onions
a-
are actually purple.
I
Yellow
know they're
onions are
purple
actually white.
onions. I knew there was. I've
No.
never seen a yellow onion, so I thought that was that was okay. All right. So there's just white
Yeah,
onions
Lee.
that are yellow and purple onions that people may say are red, but they're just purple. Okay.
Yeah, Lee. There's a rather famous meme circulating where someone's just standing on a street corner holding up a sign that does in fact correctly name red onions as purple.
I just feel like it's some point in my life I saw an onion that was red. But okay. I know there are purple onions, and I thought that there was some kind of red onion as well. All right, whatever. I was wrong. I will own it. Hey, look at that. I was wrong. Better Call Sal likes pickles, likes onions. Better Call Sal is okay with me. Better Call Sal, then we're going back to pineapple on pizza. What about that?
absolutely. Pineapple with ham. I mean, it's whatever it is about ham. I mean, we have all kinds of flavors, bacons and hams, and often they're sweet. We get Canadian bacon here with
Okay, let me stop you there because in
uh,
America we do say Canadian bacon, but I think Glenn in Canada there is no Canadian bacon. It's just ham, right?
We call
Yeah.
it back bacon because like it's literally the same thing as a pork chop, just really thinly sliced and cured. But like that's what Canadian bacon is. It's just pork loin that's been cured and then thinly sliced.
So if you
But
bought
yeah, we
that at
call
a
it back bacon, not
store
bacon bacon.
in Canada, you call it back bacon.
Correct, because the
Oh, okay,
bacon's
that
from the
makes
pork
sense
belly.
then. Because there, I've never seen back bacon, and I'm sure it exists, but I've never seen that advertised. Okay, so we call it Canadian bacon, but it's back bacon. Yeah, ham, Canadian bacon. That's what goes with pineapple. Excellent. I forget, Glenn. Did we ask you what are your thoughts on pineapple pizza as a chef, restaurant person?
Well, I don't care. Um, just kind of just my general opinion. Like I just why I didn't put my hand up. I'm like I just really don't have a strong opinion about this. Like every pizza place has like 32 choices of pizza. And so like if you're not a fan of pineapple, just order one that doesn't have pineapple on it. It's really not a big deal. No need to no need to worry about it. But like ham and pineapple, if there's like a selection of pizzas, is definitely the last one I hit. Just my personal preference. I don't like a lot of pineapple. I'm not a big fan of ham really. So it's like my last go. But like there's 32 options, so I'm not really concerned about it one way or another. I don't have to order it.
Hey, all of you elites over here on Twitter Spaces, I got a message from Stereo that you got to hear. This is Blackaroni, which, by the way, Blackaroni, great name. Blackaroni over on Stereo.
There's 100% red onions.
Wow, it kind of sounded like that serial killer from Silence of the Lambs. There's red onions and puts lotion on its skin or gets the hose again. But
Lee, I'm suddenly afraid of red onions.
Yeah, I know exactly right. It did. Who's the killer in Silence of the Lambs? Who's the
Wild Bill? Isn't that what the
that
killer
sounded
goes
like
by?
Wild Bill? Is that a real big fat person? Let me ask: are there red onions to ChatGPT? Onions, or are they just purple onions? ChatGPT says, and if I could have ChatGPT sound like the killer from Silence of the Lambs, that would be great. Red onions are actually purple in color, but they are still called red onions. Wow. Hey, take that, you Twitter Spaces elites. Wow. Why are they called red onions if they look purple?
I mean, I don't, Lee. Why do we, park on driveways and drive on parkways? Life is weird.
We park on driveways and drive on parkways. Yeah, I think parkways is not nearly used as much as driveways, but I see what you're talking about there. There's also some joke I've heard. Like, how does Hawaii have interstates? I've never driven on an interstate in Hawaii, so I don't know if they do or not. But if they do have interstates, it would beg the question: how the hell do they have an interstate? Okay, so they're called red onions, but they're purple in color, so they're purple onions, but they are called red onions. Thanks, Blackaroni. Appreciate that. Okay, so it looks like we're getting some mixed signals on pineapple on pizza, but I think Glenn has the correct answer. It's maybe not your favorite, but like whatever. There's so many different kinds of pizzas. Let's move away from that flame war. Let's go back. We talked a lot about drinks thus far in today's show. We sort of talked about it for a second, and we talked about it in the context of soda, but let's talk about it head on here. Does anyone drink decaf coffee? And if so, why? I would drink decaf coffee if that was the only coffee available, because I think if it was early in the morning and I needed coffee, I could kind of trick myself. And if it tastes so, it would still be pleasant. So in that instance, I would drink decaf coffee. But I can't think of a reason I would ever drink decaf. If it was late at night, I just wouldn't drink coffee. I'm not addicted to coffee to the point that I need to have it. I don't have any health concerns. I don't know if that's a thing. Don't older people sometimes drink decaf? Is it a health thing? Whatever it is, Does anyone drink decaf coffee? Or can we all agree that's kind of weird? We're getting some thumbs down over on Twitter Spaces.
Lee, it's also weird because it's not caffeine free. It's decaffeinated, which you can get caffeine free coffee, but it takes a lot more work and it's a lot more expensive. So if you're drinking decaf,
what
but you're
does that
drinking a
mean?
pot of it, it means you have a decreased caffeine content, not a caffeine content of 0.
Well, I mean, what's it called? What do you call non-alcoholic beer? Isn't there a term for it other than non-alcoholic beer?
I don't know what the term is, but
that has a little bit of alcohol in it. If you look at the can,
but
it has a tiny amount.
The differential is much bigger, though, I think, for coffee and decaf coffee. It's not quite the minuscule dosage, I think, that you get in like a non-alcoholic beer.
So I never thought about it this way, but you're probably right. Just because it's decaf doesn't mean it has no caffeine, just like non-alcoholic beer has some alcohol in it. It's not 100% caffeine free, according to ChatGPT. I'm going to share this over on Twitch and Rumble. The exact amount depends on the type and the decaffeination process that they used. Regular brewed coffee has 95 to 200 milligrams of caffeine per 8 ounces. Decaf has 2 to 7. Yeah, I don't know if that stands up. I think if your normal is 95 to 200 and you get at the most 7, that is actually less, I think, than the amount of alcohol you get in non-alcoholic beer.
The thing that probably equalizes that, Lee, is I know people who drink decaf coffee and it's all day. Okay. I mean, we're talking like 3-4 pots sometimes. At some point,
like
you
the
are
alcoholic who is allowed, who isn't allowed to buy alcohol anymore. But if you drink 24 cans of non-alcoholic beer, you can get a slight buzz.
Yeah, there's probably some truth to that. I mean, people do drink just about everything in those volumes. There was a show on TLC called My Strange Addiction, and one of the episodes was about I think it was a young lady who drank 30 Pepsis a day. 30, sometimes more.
Hey, Ron, do you hear that? Ron's single, everybody. I think we found his soulmate. So I asked ChatGPT about non-alcoholic beer. It's not completely alcohol-free. Contains 0 to 0.5. Yeah, so 0.5 is a lot closer to around a 4 or 5% beer, which I think is the norm. And that's a lot closer to a beer than decaf coffee. So I think decaf coffee is actually the discrepancy that you were talking about earlier is actually stronger with decaf than it is non-alcoholic beer. And the alcohol that you get in non-alcoholic beers is due to the fermentation process. Yeah.
A friend of mine had one of those one time, Lee, and I took a sip of it. If you want to drive people back to alcoholic beer, give them a non-alcoholic beer, Lee. They will be running to the beer distributor.
Yeah, I actually had one sometime within the last year or two, and I was impressed with it. It wasn't that bad, especially for shitty American beer. I didn't think it was particularly horrible. So ChatGPT asks, can you get drunk? Unlikely, unless you consume 10 plus bottles quickly to match one regular beer. So if you pound 10 non-alcoholic beers, you could drink one beer. It's generally safe, but not for pregnant people and recovering alcoholics. That's awesome.
You know, Lee, I have to think that recovering alcoholics are probably the target market for that product.
Well, here's the thing. It's like if you're a sex addict, are you supposed to have like not no sex, but like less sex? Like just like if you're an alcoholic, you would either have to have no beer or like much less beer. So maybe if you can't have any beer, I don't know if any sex addicts were ever told to not have any sex, but if you're someone who just can't have any beer, I'm not sure that having a non-alcoholic beer, which is supposed to mimic beer, is a good idea for you. Maybe some people can do it, especially if it's like some sort of legal thing. But I can imagine. Yeah.
I mean, Lee, I don't think they'd ever come out and say that's why we developed this. Maybe they have. I don't know, but it would shock me.
I think
I
that's
simply
why.
see no other market for it. What's the market for it outside of alcoholics who want beer that's not going to destroy them?
I have to ask, but I think that has to be why. We'll get to that answer in a second. Then we're going to get to Glenn here first, and then Reggie, who is always working, has requested to speak. So we'll try to get to Reggie as quickly as possible. But Glenn, you first.
Okay, so on the decaf coffee thing, I don't drink decaf coffee. I really enjoy caffeine, and so like I wouldn't drink it. But it is plausible that someone is like caffeine sensitive but enjoys the taste of coffee, and therefore drinking decaf would be the logical solution to that problem. And I don't know
Yeah,
why
for
people
some
drink.
random person out there who has some sort of caffeine allergy or something like that, like sure, but decaf coffee is available like in every grocery store across the US and probably Canada. That's a lot more than that person, right? Like people actually drink decaf.
Well, I mean, I work at a restaurant, and like we make like 2 pots of decaf a week.
So that means that you only
Everybody.
make a pot if a customer requests it. You don't just have it ready.
Correct. It's not readily available. It's just if you want it, you can have it, but we're not just going to give it to you, like, or we're not going to have it ready. We'll make you the pot though, and then they're annoyed. And then usually the restaurant owners are annoyed because that person drinks like 2 cups of it, and then
And
there's
you
the
gotta
rest of
throw
the
the
pot.
rest out. Yeah. So looking at ChatGPT, the number one origin of non-alcoholic beer is from the Prohibition era in the United States. Okay, so when they said no alcohol for was it a year? Oh, Prohibition was 1920 to 1933. I thought it just lasted a year because it was such a train wreck. Whatever it was, non-alcoholic beer. They allowed it to have 0.05% or less. It was called near beer. That's awesome. There's also a European tradition, health and religion. Well, while some recovering alcoholics drink non-alcoholic beer, it is not recommended because a small amount of alcohol and the taste can trigger relapse. Take that, apostate Nate. Just enabling alcoholics.
What do you mean, take what? You're probably right on that. I'm just telling you, I don't see another feasible target market for that. And it's my opinion, if alcoholism didn't exist, non-alcoholic beer would also not exist.
Well, I think it would not exist to the amount now. It would have had a huge influx because of prohibition, but that was 100 years ago. So it probably would have been very, very less popular than it is now. So that much, I'll meet you in the middle. All right, Reggie, you're joining us. Really appreciate you. I know you can't call in all the time. What's on your mind?
Like I know that there are drinks out there that they have a purpose to them. Coffee is one of them. You know, the horrible for you energy drinks that are on the market, they all have a purpose to them. Certain drinks that are sugar free or caffeine free, you can still drink it just for the flavor. Things like Pepsi and Sprite and junk like that, they don't need to have caffeine. I don't see a point to non-alcoholic beer unless you're a kid attempting to get drunk as hard as they can. Because like the whole reason of beer is to get drunk.
Well,
I've never had
yes
a
and
good
no.
tasting beer.
If they had good tasting beer that I found, and once again, the few non-alcoholic beers I've had in my life, the ones I've had more recently tasted noticeably better. I think it's kind of like veggie burgers. You know, in the past, veggie burgers used to be like a potato patty or some sort of
Yeah.
vegetable patty. Like it wasn't even close to meat. And now you have those burgers that like kind of bleed. They're so close to meat now. I think, non-alcoholic beer is kind of similar. So generally you're right. If you're having beer, you're trying to have a full experience, okay? But just imagine going to a bar, or going to someone's house, and you're the driver. You can drink a shit ton of non-alcoholic beers, and if you really like beer, I think that is preferable if they taste good. Someone like myself who's not hugely into alcohol, if you had a good tasting low alcohol beer, like a 1 or a 2 or a point zero 0.05 or point 0.5, and it tasted great, it would not be my first beer, but maybe I would have it and enjoy it. And then, of course, you have all the reasons we talked about. So some alcoholics maybe can have it and it doesn't wreck them, but apparently it's not recommended for them. You have people who religiously cannot drink beer. I mean, there are millions of people around the world who are not allowed to drink beer, and maybe it's cheating by having a non-alcoholic beer, but maybe they're okay with that cheating. So it serves a purpose, right?
Well, I mean, if you're the recovering alcoholic thing, to me, that just, I can't wrap my head around that in a sense of like, why even attempt to tempt yourself?
I think
Because
it just depends on the person, right? Like some people can smoke casually. Like if they're around smokers, they'll have a cigarette and they'll be fine. Or if they're drinking, they'll have a couple of cigarettes. And then other people, if they smoke, they're smoking a pack a day. So I guess it's the type of person.
yeah, I'm not going to say it's not possible, but it's still the stance of why do it to yourself? Why tempt yourself with it?
I think what is surprising to me goes back to what Apostate Nate and I were talking about. I can find reasons for non-alcoholic beer today in 2025. And of course, if you go back to the 1920s, there's a huge reason. I mean, that's an amazing reason to have non-alcoholic beer 100 years ago. But the fact that I see it so often now, and especially other parts of the world, you'll see it a lot, that's surprising to me. The fact that makes me think it's more than just people who have a problem or are driving. It's that other people are drinking it. And with so many beers available all over the place, like it really is surprising that someone would go with a non-alcoholic one without having the full, this is a vegetable patty but tastes exactly like meat. Non-alcoholic beer is not at that level. It's much closer. So that is where I'll meet you in the middle, is that it is surprising to me um how impressive the sales I think are. They're not impressive, but they're much higher than I think they would be, which is damn near zero. But something else that you said, Reggie, that I want to go back to, you were talking about why is there caffeine in soda? This is over on ChatGPT. I thought this was the case, but I wanted to ask, and it is. Most sodas artificially add caffeine. It's not already there. Which is unlike coffee or tea, which naturally contain caffeine from the plants they come from. Caffeine is added in soda through manufacturing. Most colas have caffeine added as an ingredient to enhance flavor and give a mild stimulant effect. I don't feel it when I drink cola, but I didn't realize caffeine was a flavor. That's interesting. Some sodas like root beer and citrus sodas like Sprite, 7 Up, naturally are caffeine free unless it's deliberately added.
I mean, it's said that it's added to enhance the flavor, so it's not. Like, it's technically it's not needed. It's something they put there to get people addicted, much like the high fructose corn syrup.
Does anyone feel like they're addicted to caffeine and soda? I don't.
I'm 100% addicted to caffeine, but I'm not particularly concerned about where the source comes from. I like to drink coffee, and then like I drink these like sparkling water energy drinks with like no sugar, and like 140 milligrams of caffeine. So I mean, I stopped drinking like the really bad energy drinks. I personally think Red Bull tastes like cough syrup. Hate those, and I don't drink them. But I'm totally
But as
addicted to
someone who
caffeine.
needs caffeine, if you just drink a soda, does that do anything for you? It doesn't do anything for me.
Not particularly, no, but I've also been drinking a lot of caffeine on a daily basis for a long time. So, like, the soda's not going to do it for me because I can have a nap after an energy drink. So,
Yeah, I couldn't
I
have a
actually
nap after a coffee, but yeah, I don't know. Sometimes if you drink a huge energy drink, the last time I had a Red Bull, it was not because it's, I don't know, it's smaller, but is it more concentrated? Whatever. I guess some energy drinks affect me and others don't. But when it comes to caffeine contents per 12-ounce can, and Pepsi has the most with 38 milligrams. Oh, no. Sorry. Well, I was way off. I thought this was in order. Mountain Dew has the most with 54. Diet Coke is after that with 46. Diet Coke has more caffeine than normal Coke. Normal Coke only has 34. Diet Coke has 46. Sprite, 7-Up, Fanta have 0. Pepsi has 38. So Pepsi has less caffeine than Diet Coke. And Dr. Pepper has more caffeine than Coca-Cola at 41. Dr. Pepper, that's a good one. I really like Dr. Pepper. Okay, so for some reason they add caffeine to soda. Didn't realize that, and I also didn't realize it had a flavor. Although I guess that's true. The last time I had caffeine-free soda, it did taste differently. But I thought that was because, well, maybe I guess I just assumed that was because they had to take it out, and that was why. Anytime you do a process to take something out, you're probably going to lose a flavor. But if they add it in, it must give it a flavor because I feel like if you gave me caffeine free and just normal soda, I would notice a difference. So I guess it does have a flavor. Maybe not a flavor. I would say it's kind of like a freshness. I feel like normal soda, like normal black soda, has like a crispness to it. And then if you give me like a caffeine free Pepsi or a caffeine free Coca-Cola, it loses that crispness. So I wouldn't say it's a flavor. It's more of like a crispness, but it is something that I can taste at the very least. Okay. It's news debate, Emily. Let's go back to Reggie. Reggie, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I'm good right now. Thank you.
Always great to have you, Reggie. So let's go back through here. Does anyone else have any more food debate hot takes that they want to go through? I have a whole list. But let's go with yours for. Oh, okay. Let's do this. We have a message over on stereo. I don't have a transcript, so let's hear from King Tana and hope they don't shout the N-word.
Hi, how you doing? Pineapple pizza, yes please, and Coke over Pepsi. Okay, bye.
So I'm pretty sure that person said pineapple pizza is great. So I think that was an affirmative for pineapple pizza, and they definitely chose Coke. So pineapple pizza plus Coke. Glenn, your hand is up, and then we'll go with Better Call Sal.
Sorry. So I think that ketchup should be banished. I absolutely detest ketchup. I don't think it should be around. And I don't even like it
You're
when
okay with
children eat ketchup.
pineapple pizza, but you're not okay with ketchup.
Yeah, I think there's just nothing worse to ruin someone's food than putting ketchup on it. I can't stand it. Here's your hot take, Lee. Run with it.
You don't put ketchup on French fries.
Absolutely not.
You
I
don't
don't
put
put it on
ketchup
anything.
on a hamburger.
Absolutely not. It
Hot
ruins the
dog.
hamburger. Ruins the hot dog.
So you don't see a value for ketchup on anything.
No.
You
I
like
prefer if
steak
it wasn't
sauce?
No.
Say because most steak sauces I think are based on ketchup. Wow, that
They
is
are.
a
They're
hot take.
red, white ketchup. I don't like those either.
Man, Let's go around really quick and get people's thoughts on ketchup. I'm not a huge ketchup guy, but I will eat fries with ketchup. We'll talk about that because some people will dip their fries in ketchup. Other people will pour the ketchup on their fries. That's another discussion we can have. There has been a time in my life when I would put ketchup on eggs, especially really crappy eggs, like in a cafeteria. Ketchup goes well with them. I would definitely put ketchup on a hamburger. I would put ketchup on a hot dog. It might not be the only thing I put on there, but I would put ketchup on a hot dog. If I had like some sort of like potato wedges, baked potato sort of a thing, ketchup, that's an option. Not all the time, but that's an option. Especially if they're really crunchy. I think ketchup goes really well with like crunchy potatoes, just like with fries, but potatoes would be thicker, I guess, than the thin fries. Yeah, I see a lot of value for ketchup. I don't like ketchup flavored potato chips. That's become a thing somewhat recently. I don't like those at all. And I like steak sauce, which often has a ketchup base. So I am pro ketchup. Apostate Nate, your ketchup thoughts?
I adore ketchup. Of course, I live in the Pittsburgh area, and Pittsburgh is famous for its Heinz ketchup. No longer made here, but of course, Heinz Field was called Heinz Field for a very long time for a very
Wait,
good
so
reason.
Heinz ketchup comes from Philadelphia? I'm sorry, Pennsylvania?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. In any case, I just wanted to quickly add to that, Lee. I repeat everything that Glenn said in his last sentiments, but substitute mayonnaise. I wouldn't eat mayonnaise on a sandwich at gunpoint.
Now, are you talking about sweet mayonnaise, like a Miracle Whip, or are you talking about mayo?
All of it. All of it.
Oh,
The real thing, the imitation stuff, all of it.
But do you
If
like salad dressings? So many salad dressings have some sort of mayo base, right?
My favorite salad dressing is honey mustard. After that, it's balsamic vinaigrette.
Does honey mustard have any mayo in it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't have to, but I thought maybe there'd be a tiny bit. Okay, all right, we'll come back to mayo because those are fighting words. But okay, you're okay with ketchup, but you don't like mayo. Better Call Sal. Your thoughts on ketchup?
I am appalled with both the last two speakers, horrified by both of you, and I'm no longer friends with either of you. That's it, guys. We're done. Over.
In Ireland, do they put mayo on their fries?
Yeah. I'm just appalled. I can't even look at the two faces beside me. I'm just not able to do it, Lee. I'm appalled by both of them.
Sal, my face is literally looking sideways in my profile picture. Like by definition, right now, you can't look at my face right now. I'm looking at Sal.
Nathan, I am looking. I know what your face looks like. I'm not friends with either of you anymore. And Reggie, you don't stop laughing. You're going to get an earful too.
I want to hear from Reggie then. So, Better Call Sal, you and I are both pro mayonnaise, pro ketchup. Yes. Reggie?
Add ketchup, you get Mary Rose, and it's an entirely new experience.
You call Thousand Island dressing Mary Rose?
Mary Rose mayo.
Because Thousand Island is an actual like thing. It has other ingredients, but a cheap way to do it is just the pink mayo ketchup mix.
Yeah, but we also add Worcester sauce, which gives it that anchovy flavor, and red onion, and it's not just Thousand Island dressing, but I am horrified by the two boys to my I don't know, left.
Well, I don't think Glenn is anti-mayo, so yeah, Glenn's anti-ketchup and Apostate Nate is anti-mayo.
Yeah. It's just horrifying me. I'm absolutely horrified by both.
This is the most horrified Better Call Sal has been, which is quite something because we've had a lot of deep conversations. Okay, Reggie, now to you. Reggie might be the tiebreaker. What are your thoughts on ketchup and mayo?
Sal and I have a little food war of our own going on between donuts versus potatoes. I'm going to call a temporary truce or temporary ceasefire because I enjoy both ketchup on just about anything. In fact, especially meat. Like you give me any kind of meat, I'm throwing ketchup on it. as far as mayo for me go on sandwiches. But like I have no like I occasionally I'll put on like some kind of barbecue sauce, but if there's fries, if there's meat of almost any kind, there's ketchup going on there.
So this is where I start to think maybe we should get rid of ketchup because that's too far for me. If you have a hamburger and if you have a hot dog, uh, and if you are eating some sort of cheap steak-like meat and you don't have steak sauce, then ketchup, okay, and French fries, potatoes, shitty eggs, okay, that's ketchup stuff. But what you're describing is more like a child. Like if you gave child any meats, if you gave them like £100 or $100 steak, or if you just gave them any kind of meat, they'd be like, ketchup, yeah, ketchup. That's too much for me. I can't do the ketchup on everything. But I do agree with ketchup on everything much more than let's get rid of ketchup. The ketchup Nazi, that is Glenn. Glenn, your hand is up. What are your thoughts on mayo? You're okay with mayo? You have to be okay with mayo. Mayo is pretty versatile.
I mean, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but I mean, it is very versatile and like it's pretty bland on its own. I mean, you can mix it with anything. I mean, like every aioli you've ever got in a restaurant is just mayonnaise with stuff added to it. So, like, yes, I agree with mayonnaise. I don't have a problem with it, but like I'm changing the flavor profile of that mayonnaise before I use it. Like I'll add some sriracha to it, maybe some roasted garlic or something. Apparently, I'm hungry because I'm really running with this thing. But yeah, I like mayo. And Thousand Island, there are two reasons I don't like Thousand Island. A, pickles, and B, ketchup. That's when I got the hell out of Thousand Island dressing. And it's not it is kind of like mayonnaise though. I mean, it's just like an emulsification with the pickles and the ketchup and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the Thousand Island definitely has some other flavor combinations, but if you just mix ketchup and mustard, it tastes and looks like that. I mean, that's basically what it is. Reggie's gonna go back to work and can't speak anymore. So great to have you, Reggie. Appreciate that. And I'm trying to do a better job of when Reggie requests to speak, I just go straight to him because the first couple times he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't talk anymore, Lee." So Glenn, I have a question for you. I've never made mayonnaise, but isn't mayonnaise just like raw eggs and oil?
Specifically egg yolks and oil, I do believe.
Egg yolks
You can
and
also do
oil.
emulsification with just vinegar and oil too. That's what vinaigrette would be. But yeah, mayonnaise is just. I think there's some other ingredients too. I don't have the ingredients off the top of my head.
How do you
Generally just
make mayonnaise safe to consume if it's egg yolks and oil?
on a grand scale, preservatives. On a micro scale, you don't. It's only good for 3 hours.
Oh, okay. So if you make your own
If you made
dressing
your
of
own
some kind,
mayonnaise,
it's only good
you
for
have to
3
wait 3
hours.
hours to use it before you have to throw it out.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't have any holding time whatsoever. Same with like if you make your own hollandaise, like you have like 3 hours max before it's gone because you could get yourself sick.
And what's hollandaise made of? I've had it. I enjoy it, but I've never made it.
Butter and egg yolks, I
Say it
do
again?
believe, with some other things. Butter or oil and like
Butter,
I think
oil,
it's
and
butter
egg
though.
yolk.
I believe that's it. Yeah,
So it's like
basically.
mayonnaise, but better.
Yeah, I'm not actually. I don't like hollandaise either. Actually, like now
Really,
that we're talking
hollandaise is
about it, I
great.
don't like hollandaise. And fun stories. I worked as a casual fine dining restaurant, and so I also don't like lemon, and I don't like dill.
You
I don't
don't
like
like
hollandaise.
lemon?
No, or lime, really. I mean, on some Greek ribs, a little bit of lemon's okay, but like I'm not asking for extra lemon wedges by any means. It's not my favorite. But anyway, but so like I was working at this place, and those are three things I don't like. And of course, we had a salmon with a lemon dill hollandaise that I did make like per order. And each time I had to taste it, and it was just awful. I knew how it was supposed to taste, but I'm just like, it's gross. But it
Can
tastes
you
right.
give me an idea of what did you say was casual fine dining? Is that how you described it? What would be a restaurant I'm familiar with that's casual fine dining?
Any like higher end steakhouse, probably.
Ah,
Like
okay.
the fine dining is like the stuff where it's like food art. Like you pay $150 to look at someone do art on your plate and very little food there, and that's cool. It has this thing, but casual fine dining is kind of more like, they have the wine bar. Like you can order yourself like a porterhouse, comes with like garlic mashed or something like that.
Sure.
It's a little bit higher end. That they would call it casual fine dining, to where it's like in the price range of more people, but it's like probably a once a month place. It's a very much a special occasion. It's casual, but it's also fine dining because you get those higher end dishes.
And do you make a reservation at a casual place, or is that the casual part of it that you just walk in?
I think the casual parts where you just walk in, and also the plating's just like a little less like family style, a little more artsy fartsy. I mean, we had a thing with the mashed potatoes that little mash makes the steak look bigger, and so that was a fun innuendo for that one.
Oh, so if you give them just a little bit of mashed potatoes, the steak looks bigger.
Yeah, you give them 8-ounce steak, but if you just give them a small portion in the middle of their plate that like goes up really high, and then you put that 8-ounce steak on top of it, that 8-ounce steak looks absolutely humongous compared to the potatoes.
Wow, wow, that's smart. You
Reference point to the
bastards.
eyes, because you eat with your eyes before your mouth.
Is there anything with steak that is Canadian versus the US that I'm not thinking about? I don't think I've ever had a steak in Canada.
I've never had American beef either, so neither one of us can really make a solid argument for anything because we only know what
Well,
we
you
know.
know about American culture more than I know about Canadian culture. American culture is everywhere.
Yeah, but I have no idea what American beef tastes like. I don't remember. I was a
So not
kid.
the
Last
taste maybe, but is there like a different presentation, or is like anything else different about that sort of casual fine dining steak heavy experience in Canada versus the US that you can think of?
I think it would be basically the same, honestly. I really don't. I think
Is it normal
Americans
to
have.
tip in Canada as much as it is in the US?
Yes, it is. It's not a rule, but generally speaking, like everywhere wants tips now, and they have the option on like their POS machines, like
If you're
10%,
a if you're
15,
a
20.
waiter at a restaurant in Canada, are you paid a full wage plus tips, or are you paid a lesser wage because you're expected to get tips?
Well, there's minimum wage, so most servers, when they start, would get minimum wage plus a portion of their tips, but most restaurants tip out to the kitchen. So, like, I get tips too, but there's
Yeah,
only
yeah,
every
yeah,
2
yeah.
weeks.
That depends on the restaurant. I'm familiar with that idea, but in the US, unless something has changed, I knew a lot of waitresses growing up. It was possible to pay you almost nothing because you were expected to get tips. And if you wanted to, you could say, I counted my tips and I did not make a minimum wage, and then the restaurant would have to pay you. But I believe still, and if not some years ago, like when I was in high school, it was possible to pay you less than minimum wage because you were expected to make more than minimum wage with your tips. Okay, so that was the difference that I was going for. Unless I'm completely wrong about that, that seems to be one difference, which makes sense because Canada has more socialism and does more for its citizens than the United States does.
I mean, I did serve for a little bit, and I generally could double my wage in tips. So it was a long time ago. So I think I make $7 an hour in, in like wages, but I would make like $10 an hour in tips. So like serving was like quite beneficial because minimum wage was $7 and I could make 17 serving. And most of that was cash.
Yeah, no, cash jobs, whether or not it's being a waiter or doing whatever, cash jobs. Cash jobs. Cash jobs. All right, it's News Debate. I'm Lee. We're going to go with Better Call Sal here in a moment, but I want to keep all the people over on stereo part of the conversation. So we have someone talking about Coke or Pepsi. And let's hear from it's Dalton. I recognize Dalton over on stereo.
As far as the debate on the Coke or Pepsi, I'm a Coke person. Now, if I have to go somewhere that doesn't have Coke, I'll settle for Pepsi. And I definitely love pineapple pizza. Now, one thing that I do like that I've had before, it's like a bacon and pineapple pizza. Love me some bacon too. Can't go wrong with that. Hope y'all are having a good evening.
Yeah, I think mostly it's the back ham, as they would say in Canada. Thanks for that, Glenn, or the Canadian bacon. But yes, I have had pineapple pizza that had bacon in it, like crispier, saltier bacon, and it was not my favorite. I do prefer the ham, but it's nice to give a little bit of variety with pineapple pizza because as opposed to like mushrooms, you can have mushrooms with chicken. Mushrooms, yeah, I guess a supreme pizza has like mushrooms with pepperoni and everything else. You have mushrooms with sausage, you can have mushrooms and ham. You can just have cheese and mushrooms. You can get mushrooms many different ways. 90% of the time or more, when you get pineapple, you're getting ham. So it is nice to get the bacon, especially if it's very flavorful bacon. I do enjoy that, but it's kind of just to break up the monotony of my normal choice, which is your typical ham and pineapple. We got some more messages over on stereo we'll get to in a moment. Yes, Better Call Sal over on Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, homemade mayonnaise is a spectacular dish. Raw eggs and a really good quality olive oil, very gently mixed, blended. It is truly spectacular. Yeah, I'm still shocked at the other two. I really am shocked. And the other thing I was going to mention in
So you believe in leprechauns? Am I supposed to be, like quivering over here?
Better Call Saul doesn't believe in leprechauns the way that we think of leprechauns. Like Better Call Saul talked about this on the show previously. It's like leprechauns left Ireland, they hit the U.S., and then they made it back to Ireland in a new form. The leprechauns she's talking about are like 2 inches tall. Our leprechauns are like,
Yeah, Lee, that makes
the
perfect sense. I
the
yield.
imp in a uh, 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 Game of Thrones, like Munchkin people. That's what we think of with leprechauns, but they have a reddy orange beard and they have the hat and everything. Ah, my pot of gold. That's what we think. She doesn't really believe in leprechauns the way we do. Um, so I would
unless
defend her a little bit on that.
if I can make money exporting them, absolutely, I believe. But yeah, the other thing I was going to say was going back to the beer subject. Don't really have an opinion on non-alcoholic beer because I've never had it. I would prefer to drink water or again Coke or 7 Up if I was designated driver or something like that. But yeah, I mean, between the 12th and 15th century, it was safer to drink beer than it was water because
Yeah,
all the water was.
the old ships that carried people
Yeah,
to the new world, I think they drank beer because it kept better
yeah,
than water.
yeah. But you would have a beer for breakfast because you couldn't drink water. I mean, unless you had milk or something like that. But that was your drink of choice. Was
But also back in the day, like beer was different. So it wasn't just like having like a Guinness or a Bud or something for breakfast. It was whatever it was at the time that they were bringing. But yes, some sort of alcoholic beverage.
yeah,
Yes,
because
that was often the case on long voyages.
it was sterile. But even here in Ireland or in England, they had beer over water. You just couldn't drink the tap water. Well, there was no such thing as a tap. Um, but yeah, homemade mayonnaise is amazing. But I'm so disappointed in the other two. I really am. Probably even more so than I am with Reggie with
Do you make
his
sure
stuff.
that you don't eat your homemade mayonnaise more than 3 hours after you've made it?
It wouldn't even last that long. But we have a thing, and it's coming in now. It'll be in the next 2 months. We have a wild garlic mayonnaise, which is actually not even a bulb. It's the leaves. Wild garlic is a herb grown in Ireland. We will go and um and pick wild garlic, chop it up, and it's even just in Hellman's, it's amazing. It has a really sweet, garlicky taste, and we love it. We absolutely love it in Ireland.
Hey, Glenn, when you have something that is spelled HERB, do you pronounce it the way I do, or do you pronounce it like a man's name?
Sorry, spell that again.
This is a spelling test. HERB. Is it like, hey Herb, how you doing? Or is it herb?
I think I call it an herb, actually. Like I would call
herb.
Call
Yeah.
herb.
But it is nice to hear Herb in Ireland. Yeah. My good old uncle Herb in Ireland.
Yeah.
Do I pronounce it differently? Herb?
I think it's a European English thing. The English speakers I think ever spoken to who live in Europe, so the UK and anywhere else where they speak English, they often say herb, because I mean there is an H, but we say herbs. I think in America and Canada it sounds like.
It's like oregano. You pronounce it oregano.
You say
when it's
organo?
Oregano.
Wow.
The
Okay.
Latin. Oregano.
And then you also say aluminium, right?
Yeah.
You say aluminum.
Aluminum?
Yeah.
No, it's
aluminum. Glenn, do you say aluminum, or since Canada used to be part of the UK, do you say aluminium?
I wish I was taught to say it that way, because I wouldn't have so much trouble spelling that word. Like, that word is just a pain in the ass to spell because it is not how it sounds, and I just get screwed up with it. It always looks wrong. But if I learned the other way, I would have been able to phonetically figure that one out.
But you're confusing me. So if you make a baked potato like in a fire, if you're camping, you wrap it in
That's what I
foil.
Say.
Yeah, aluminum foil. 51st state, everybody. Glenn could be the governor of Canada because he says aluminum foil and herb. Yeah. Let's jump over and hear from our friends over on stereo. By the way, pineapple pizza, people who like pineapple pizza, it's damn near 90% over on stereo. So I think pineapple pizza is officially an okay thing now. Let's hear from Noise, spelled Noiz.
So when it comes to the subject of pineapple on pizza, I will say that it is not my first choice, but I don't mind it. I like pineapple on pizza sometimes. Now I will say this, though. Just because they put Canadian bacon and what the hell is that stuff called? And pineapple does not make it Hawaiian style. If you want to make it real Hawaiian style, I would say throw some Spam on there. Anyone that spent some time in Hawaii or knows anything about Hawaiian culture will know that Spam is a big thing. And back to the whole whole no ketchup, no mayo thing. Ketchup on appropriate things, as long as you don't go overboard. Mayo, I mean, it's fine too. And I even use them as ingredients in cooking. But ketchup on everything, no. That's pretty much it.
That was a damn fine message from Noise. Ketchup on everything, no. Where appropriate, mayo, where appropriate. I didn't realize, because some people will call pineapple pizza Hawaiian pizza, and I guess it has to have Spam. From what little bit I know of Hawaii, I wish Patrice was here. She'd be able to tell us. Yes, Spam is a Hawaiian thing. So I've never seen that you could get pineapple pizza with Spam, but okay, I guess that's yet another diverse pineapple pizza option. By the way, there was a lot of noise in that noise message. And at first I thought it was one thing. And then eventually I was like, oh, maybe he's like an electrician. He's like working while he leaves a message. But anyone else, when they heard that electric noise, did they think dildo? Vibrator. That was the first thing my mind went to. Did anyone else think vibrator? Glenn, your hands up. Did you think that was vibrator? It sounded like a vibrator to me.
I I feel the same way. I was a bit taken aback, and I probably shouldn't admit that as a woman, but
Oh, calm down, Sal.
Hey, we're a children's show over here on News Debate, everybody. But hey, you know what?
I
You
actually
know,
thought
leave a message
first,
on the show and
and
a
then I
little.
eventually.
Sorry, Glenn, were you
Oh, I
talking?
thought it was Rockers at first.
You thought it was what?
That was my first thought.
Glenn and I are having a comedic routine here. You thought it was either a drill or a dildo. Which one of them?
Neither. I thought it was a maraca at first. Like one of those things. Like, that's why I first thought at
Hey
first.
Lee,
But then
he's in a band.
probably somewhere that has like soda guns or whatever, and one of the bags became empty because then it makes like a rhythmic
Oh,
sound.
you thought
The more
he's like a soda jerk. He has like one of those guns with all the different soda options. Okay, yeah, okay. My mind went to
like you
sex
said, he's
toy.
work. Yeah, I thought probably he's at work and he works in like some type of a bar or something, and he called in from the back where
No,
where all
he's
the
definitely at work.
bags
He's out there on the stage working the pole. Oh yeah, no, he's definitely working. We're getting a lot of reactions over on stereo. I feel like he's leaving us another message, letting us know what that noise was. My gut tells me it was either some sort of toy that he does on purpose because his name is Noise. So maybe all of his messages, he just has that, or it was a drill. I've had people call in who were truckers. I've had people call in who were working construction, like while they were talking on the show, but it wasn't like demolishing a building because we wouldn't be able to hear them, but some sort of construction, and they're using probably Bluetooth earbuds. Could have been a drill. Realistically, my choice is that it's some sort of toy that he uses when he leaves the message, and that's his thing. Okay, it's not everybody's thing. That's my first guess if I had to pick. Let's jump back to stereo, and we're actually going to hear from the electrician, friend of the show, the electrician first, and then we'll probably hear from some other people over on stereo.
Hey, Lee News Debate A. I actually got kicked out of a group that had to do with pizza because of my stance of pineapple on pizza. I wasn't vulgar. I wasn't an angry person. I didn't do anything weird. I just agreed that pineapple goes on pizza. I got kicked out of a group that is a pizza lover group on Facebook. If you can believe that. It's wild. I didn't know people were that passionate or anti-pineapple on pizza. I found out that way. It's okay. I'm part of a lot of things, so that was just one of many. I wasn't trolling. I wasn't doing anything weird. I was just taking my stance of a pineapple going on pizza.
Glenn, Apostate Nate, was that your Facebook group that you run? Purists, pineapple does not belong on pizza Facebook group?
No, Lee, I don't care that much, but it does still strike me as morally offensive, and I'm embarrassed for my species right now.
Strong words. Strong words. Let's jump over. We're going to hear from Meg the Frenchie over on stereo.
Pineapple does belong on pizza, and I am a Pepsi girl. Preferably cherry Pepsi is the best. Thank you and good night.
Well, I'm also a fan of pineapple on pizza. And yes, is it wild cherry Pepsi? Is that the cherry Pepsi? I think it's just called cherry Coke. And then they have wild cherry Pepsi. Is that what it's called? I haven't had it in a long time. I think that's right. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the cherry cola. What's even better is when you just have a cola and add is it grenadine sauce? You add a little bit. That's really good. That's even better. But Yeah, if I'm at a gas station and if I'm buying a cola, if I see a cherry, I'll go for that first. Oh yeah, that's very good. And Reggie and Better Call Saul are still fighting about food over on Twitter. Join us on Twitter Spaces if you want to call in live. Join us as a speaker over on twitter.com/NEWZ debate. Otherwise, we'll still do messages over on stereo. Let's check back in with Noise and see if he left. He left many messages, but let me try to find one that he left after we were guessing about if he was using a drill, a vibrator, or some sort of children's toy, and see if he gave us an update.
Oh no, so the noise in the background, that was my phone just going off because I just got flooded with a bunch of emails and texts and my notifications. So yeah, plus I just had like 20 people just text me within like the past like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I should have guessed it was your phone, but that was sort of what I was saying with the toy. It sounded like just like something was shaking, as opposed to a drill or opposed to something that's really shaking with a vibrator. Okay, let's go back and we'll hear an actual message from Noise.
Coke or Pepsi? Coke all the way. Um, but Dr. Pepper above both of them.
Yeah, Coke or Pepsi, Coke, but oh yeah, Dr. Pepper. Thank you for that Noise. Yeah, I like Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper is not something I can drink regularly. It just doesn't seem like a real soda to me. You like Mountain Dew. I don't drink that regularly.
This
But
daily, what
that's
this room? I feel like I'm on Mars or in the Twilight Zone.
yeah.
Dr. Pepper can be had listen to me, all the time.
Um, oh, Dr. Pepper is good, but it's sort of like okay, so I'm not opposed to pineapple pizza, but to me, it's not typical pizza. So to me, I cannot enjoy pineapple pizza all the time. I can just have it sometimes. Dr. Pepper to me is not a typical soda. It's not what I would consider like a real soda. So I can't drink it that often, but I could have it from time to time. So even though I enjoy Dr. Pepper, it could never be something that I would choose over Pepsi or Coke. Just my thoughts there. Yes, Glenn, your hands up, then we'll hear from Better Call Sal.
Just gonna keep pissing off everybody, and so I don't particularly like Dr. Pepper. If I have to, I'll drink it. Like if I got the pasties real bad, and like Dr. Pepper is the only thing available, I will drink it. But it's really not my thing. I would prefer not to drink it if I can.
Wow, fighting words. I think there's whole areas of the South where Dr. Pepper is like the most sought after soda. Is it just Texas? But there are parts of the South where people really like Dr. Pepper. If it's not Coke, I guess it would be Dr. Pepper. I like Dr. Pepper. I'm glad it exists, but I don't find it to be a normal. It's like if you drink coffee, maybe every once in a while you get like a frappuccino or something, but like if you really like coffee, you're not getting a frappuccino like every day. That's caramel macchiatos. That's like what a Dr. Pepper is. I have it from time to time to enjoy the flavor, but it's not a real soda. Yes, Apostate Nate, and then Better Call Sal.
Oh, Lee, as a patron of a certain tier, I request that we do a show about that one time, whatever it is. Maybe it's more than one time that a certain type of food or foods ruined a childhood birthday party for you. I would like an entire show dedicated to this. Thank you, Lee.
I'm confused. Did someone bring Dr. Pepper to your childhood birthday party and you freaked out? I guess it was silence from apostate Nate. Someone ruined his birthday party by bringing this a Pepsi party. They brought Dr. Pepper. What the hell are you doing, Billy?
Lee, it's quite the opposite. I'm wondering how that question applies to the host. It's the other way around. I want to do an entire show where you talk about a childhood birthday party of yours that was ruined, because I think maybe the food choices there might reveal everything about this weird show.
Isn't Coke or Pepsi or this soda over that soda, isn't that more of an adult discussion? Like, no kid hates ketchup. No kid is going to turn down pizza that has, anything on it because it's pizza. As long as it's tasty, there are no pizza purist children. These are adult conversations.
Well, as far as the pizza thing goes, Lee, bring a pizza over here and try to get my daughter to eat it. Good luck, Chuck.
Your daughter wouldn't eat pineapple pizza? She'll only eat like pepperoni or something like that?
Most of the time, pizza doesn't interest her. I think I struck gold recently by realizing she does like Domino's, but yeah, she'd never eat pizza with pineapple on it. It has to be pepperoni or bust.
Well, all right. Maybe 15, 20 years from now, daughter of apostate Nate, apostate Jane, she'll talk about one time at someone's party. They tried to make him eat Little Caesars, Pizza Hut pizza. Oh no. Papa John's. No. I only eat Domino's. And not.
Lee, I just want to know what happened to you. That's all. It doesn't even have to be about pizza.
Lee, where did the clown touch you, Lee? Where did the clown touch you? Did he touch you in the Dr. Pepper? Yeah. No. Hey, you're the one who doesn't like pickles. You're going to tell me I'm the crazy one? You don't like pickles.
I don't understand why anybody likes a condiment that literally makes every other flavor profile on that item its bitch and completely overtakes it. It's like that loud asshole who shows up at the party. That's a pickle. You don't need a pickle by itself. I respect you. If you want to put that on any other food, I don't understand. I don't get it.
Sounds like somebody had a bad birthday party.
I actually didn't even have one this year, Lee. Yeah, that's my life.
Well, I can imagine it's hard to go to your birthday party when someone it's like a potluck. Someone brings burgers and you're like, hey, John, thanks. Are there pickles on those burgers? Yeah, it's like ketchup, mustard, pickles, onions. Please leave, John. Excuse me? Out the door. Yeah, I think it's kind of a little difficult to cook for apostate Nate's birthday party, to be completely honest. Better call Sal.
Okay, Nate is back in my good books. Glenn is still out there. Dr. Pepper is the best drink ever.
Oh, I'm surprised. An Irish person is rooting for Dr. Pepper. Okay, tell me why.
Take it from a woman who craved it during her pregnancy. Absolutely craved Dr. Pepper. My husband got to the stage where he was just bringing one home. He'd have a can in the car just in case. And I was only allowed to have one a day. And I savored it. It was so good.
Is that because it's not good to drink soda when you're pregnant?
No, it's the caffeine. But,
Well, yeah, but soda has caffeine, so it's not good to drink soda when you're pregnant. Unless you drink 7-Up.
7-Up. No, 7-Up or Fanta, which is another hot topic. The color difference between European Fanta to American Fanta.
I'm confused. I know there's different flavors, but isn't orange flavored Fanta in Europe orange?
Orange flavor Fanta looks like the flame coming out of Reggie's mouth in America.
Wow, that's good.
Ireland,
Sorry, in Ireland it looks like what?
It just looks like orange juice.
I'm confused. Doesn't Fanta in... Oh, okay, no. Fanta in the U.S. is orange. And Fanta in Europe looks like orange juice, which is not orange.
It is. It's kind of like an orange color, but the Fanta in America looks like the flames coming out of Reggie's mouth.
Yeah, ours is like artificially orange. Yours looks more like orange juice. Okay, I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
I'll buy that. Sure. Yeah.
But Dr. Pepper is my absolute go-to. But I can't drink it out of a plastic bottle because that's just
Yeah.
I can drink it out of it.
I think you can find Dr. Pepper most places in the US. Most of the time, it's not a top tier soda. I think maybe in Texas is one place that people really like it, but it's available pretty much anywhere. In Ireland, is it hard to find Dr. Pepper?
No, I mean we don't. It's hard to find the big 2-liter bottles. But no, I mean most petrol stations shops have the bottles of Dr. Pepper, but not the big bottles of Dr. Pepper. Because if I could get my hands on the big bottles of Dr. Pepper, there'd be no stopping me.
Hey, Glenn, did you hear that?
But
Petrol stations? Do you call them gas stations like I do?
I've heard it called both. I'm not
In
good to
Canada,
think about
people
that
might
one.
call a gas station a petrol station.
Well, we have a lot of immigration, so I mean, there's just like a lot of people that kind of
The
somewhere
United
else
States
call
has
something
just as much, if not
just a gas.
more, per capita immigration than Canada. Please.
Well, you know, Canada are more friendly and willing to adjust their ways and not just, banish the people to their own little corner
I
because
guess
they
I
said
guess
the wrong
you
word
I
a
guess
couple
you missed it, Glenn, when we broke this down. Did you know under the first see, we had to get to politics eventually. Couldn't resist it. Under the first Donald Trump administration, which would have been at the time under Justin Trudeau, who, by the way, is now a scared son of Castro because Donald Trump was mean to him and he ran away. It was easier to immigrate to America under the first Donald Trump administration than it was to immigrate to Canada at the same time. So do not tell me these made up things about immigration to Canada. But okay, so you think somewhere in Canada someone might say petrol station. In the US, no one would say that. That sounds strange.
I mean, like, yeah, it's just I call it a gas station or the
Yeah,
store,
there it
depending
is.
on where I'm going. I
Gas
don't drive,
station.
so I never get gas. So I just actually
Yeah.
call it a store because it's just the store that I'm going to because I'm not never getting gas there. So it's not even a gas station for me,
No,
really.
I
It's
mean
just a store.
it's a convenience store, but a lot of places in the US, and I'm sure in Canada as well, because it's a very rural country outside of 3 cities, maybe 4 cities. Your gas station is where you get gas, but it is a convenience store that sells gas. So you're right, it does have other things. And sometimes it might be like a convenience store that has like an extended grocery section or something like that. Okay, we're on the same page. We're gonna go back to Better Call Saul in a moment, but I want to catch up on some of these messages on stereo because we have a lot of them. Let's hear from the electrician.
Hey, I lost signal, but I heard you guys talking about a noisy message. I wonder if it was me. I was on a dirt road that hasn't been graded for a while. I don't know what that's called, but after it weathers, it puts like these ripples in the road. And I'm in a work van. I'm in Missouri, heading back to Iowa right now at 6:02 p.m. on Wednesday evening. It's going to be an hour and 50-minute drive. I was doing electric work and driving on a dirt road that has, gosh, what do they call those? We actually have a name for an ungraded road, and I can't even remember the name of it right now. Because you can lose traction if you're going too fast on those little bumpity-bumpities.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would just call it a dirt road. It's either a road which is paved, or it's a dirt road which is not. I think technically dirt roads are supposed to have gravel, but after a while, if you don't put more gravel on them, they just turn to dirt. Yeah, I'm not sure what that would be. But no, it was not your message, electrician. It was noise. Dr. Pepper. But it's funny. Your name's literally the electrician, and you were out doing electrical work. But no, it was another message, and he cleared up was because, and it sounds just like that. He was getting messages on his phone. Let's hear from the electrician again.
Oh shoot! I thought you guys were talking about me with the noise because I lost signal and I heard you talking about noise. And I know when I was leaving a message about pineapple on pizza, I had this like vibration thing going on with the back of my work vehicle. I'm glad it wasn't me. Thank goodness. Somebody else is vibrating. I only gyrate. Now, is this fact or fiction? Somebody told me that Domino's invested a lot of money to put pizza joints in Italy, and they got shut down within the first year, all of them, every last one of them. They spent like millions to try to hit a new market, and I think it's funny. Is that true? Anybody know? Big old question mark. Lee News Debate, I know you know how to find these articles.
Yeah, well, the electrician, that shows how long of a listener you've been. I used to do a lot of articles. Now I mostly just ask Chat GPT. And here's the thing: it actually did happen. I'm sharing Chat GPT now on my video stream over on twitch.tv/NEWZ debate and also rumble.com/user/NEWZ debate. Domino's did expand, but it wasn't successful and ultimately pulled out of the country. They launched in Italy in 2015, launching in Milan and other cities. It tried to cater to local taste by offering Italian-inspired menu options like pizza with fresh mozzarella, but they also kept their American-style pizzas. They had strong competition from local pizzerias. So it's like opening a shoe store in a city that has the most shoe stores in the country or something. Cultural differences, because Italians have specific preference for high quality ingredients and thin crusts, which is not what Domino's has made its marketing on. Many Italians view Domino's as an American chain, and I guess they didn't like that. So they left after 2022. So 8 years they officially left. But despite its failure in Italy, Domino's continues to thrive in many other parts of the world. Yeah, we've talked about it on the show before. Italians spend more money on the food as a percentage of their income than I think any other nationality in the world. It's a ridiculously high percentage of their income. It's like a third or more or something like that they spend on food. And that was before inflation. If you go to Italy, the food is cheap compared to the US and especially now with inflation. So it's spending a lot of money and getting a lot for it. So it's not surprising that they don't want Domino's, but they have McDonald's in Italy. So I think it was just the fact that it was something that they view as theirs and theirs is better. I don't think Italians view McDonald's and that type of food as theirs. Now, I'm sure you can get American style hamburgers and fries at restaurants in Italy that are much better, but it's not theirs. So they're going to McDonald's to get a certain type of American, cuisine culture. I don't know that that would work for Domino's. I think that was clearly going to be the case in the beginning. I don't know why anyone would think that would be a good idea, but this goes to show you it's really easy to waste your money as a corporation. Better Call Sal, your hand is up.
Yeah, here in Ireland, Domino's would not be classed as pizza. We would ask, if somebody asked me, do you want to go for pizza? I would ask American or Italian, because I can have American pizza at home. But Italian pizza, it's like eating joy. It really
But
is.
that's not true. Whether or not you like Domino's, you can't have Domino's pizza at home. It tastes different when they cook it in their pizza oven than it does in your oven at home.
Well, yeah, but I can order that in. I mean,
Oh, I see
no,
what you mean. You wouldn't go to a Domino's, you get it delivered.
yeah.
But I think
going
the
back
reason
to
they failed in Italy was not because people wouldn't dine in their restaurant. It's because people did not buy it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bit like McDonald's in Iceland. When Iceland had their recession, when we all had the global recession in 2008, Iceland brought in laws that you could only use food grown in Iceland. McDonald's said, "Oh well, we can't do that. We need to import our nasty powdered chips from."
Well, yeah, because they have everything made a certain way and they use certain ingredients so that it tastes the same aside from maybe their local. There's always, you go to a McDonald's somewhere in some country, they'll have something that they don't have in the US. But
Yeah,
their staples, it all comes from the same thing. So it has to come from somewhere
yeah,
outside of that country.
yeah. So McDonald's said, "Oh well, we can't do this." So they just Iceland said, "Okay, bye bye." And the last burger and fries bought in McDonald's in Iceland, there is an actual live stream where you can still see it today. They closed in 2009. You can still see it today, and it has kind of a slightly green fuzz on it, but the bun is
Yeah,
still there.
it doesn't degrade. Yeah,
Doesn't
that's not new. We've known that for a long time.
And the last thing, Lee, I would love if that electrician could make his way to Ireland, because we had the biggest storm last Friday here. I still have no power. I am still sitting
Yeah,
in my car.
why don't you give us an update on that? Because it seems like
Yeah,
every time you join the show, there's a storm in Ireland. So this is a newer one than the previous one when you were in your car. So what
yeah,
happened to you? What's going on?
that was th- 4 weeks ago was Storm Dara, and last Thursday night we were hit by Storm Irwin or Irwin. Well, I would say E because there's a father over. So it's like Arwen from Lord of the Rings, but it's got an E father, which makes it an O. So to be, yeah, look at that's just Irish. But yeah, she hit on Thursday night where I am in Galway. We were at the center of the storm for 7 solid hours. 850,000 homes lost electricity, which would, as Nate said earlier, about 75% of the country. We're now down to about 280,000, which is me. The only thing I don't care about the electricity. I'm doing all right. I have candles. I have a camping gas stove. I have an open fire. I have a gas stove or heater. Um, but I'm dying without the internet connection. I'm serious. It's like everybody's on their phone data. I know one of the towers that I would normally get a signal from is just completely gone. And we have crews that came in from
Like
the
the tower
UK.
was knocked over?
Towers that, yeah, it's just not there anymore. I can't even pick it up on my phone. It's gone.
Well, have you
Um,
seen it? It could just mean it doesn't have power.
no, I've heard that it's absolutely just flattened, and it would have been one of the bigger ones. We do have smaller cell towers, but it's one of the bigger ones. And when I rang my mobile phone company today, they just said that due to technical difficulties over Storm Irwin, um, services may be interrupted. But it is absolutely wrecking my head that I can't get online, especially Twitter Spaces, because that's my connection to the world. So I'm really glad this is going well, but I am actually sitting in my car charging my phone.
So just
Um,
like you were with that previous storm, you're back to your normal Twitter Spaces routine.
Yeah, but it's been painful. It's been absolutely painful. And I mean, at one stage, I was getting 20 minutes, and a friend of mine, Ellie, she said, "Yeah, Sal, your 20 minutes is up. You're gone." I was roboting. That was that. And I can see my partner in crime, Refo Madness, is in the space. She is on battle with me over the potato issue. and she's 100%
Yeah, can you explain
behind.
this to me? Because was it Reggie was also fighting you with this? You're fighting about
Yeah,
potatoes and donuts? I don't understand this
yeah.
at all.
So Reggie thinks the world is donut shaped, and she's actually, yeah, Reefer Madness put up a clip saying that she believed that it was potato shaped. And because the passion that the Irish have for the potato, I had to jump on board. So I'm now lobbying our government to reinstate the earth as a potato shape, much to Reggie's disappointment. The earth is potato shaped, because potatoes are the best food in the world. I love that Reggie's at work, but he's still reacting to me.
See, but the interesting thing is that in the United States, we actually could get our president to make an executive order that from now on in the US, the earth is shaped like a potato or it's shaped like a donut. You
Yeah,
have no
I mean,
chance of getting that in Ireland.
yeah, he's so easily manipulated that maybe if I just approached him and ignored my basic instinct to hurt him, and
Whoa,
tolerate
whoa! Someone's gonna come f you
tolerate
up in your car while you're charging your phone, making threats against the president of my country.
tolerate being in the same room as him, I think I could probably convince him that the earth is potato shaped.
See, I actually would disagree with you because did you see
You're not a
what
flat earther.
Colombia tried to do? They tried to tell him that they were going to not accept illegal immigrants that we were flying back to Colombia, and then he's like, "Well, I'm just going to put a big tax on any Colombian goods that come into the United States." And then like 5 minutes later, they just let all the people come back to Colombia. You can't screw with Trump anymore. His first term, oh yeah, you could try to get him to do whatever you wanted to. He has goals, and he is accomplishing those goals in this term. This term is wow. Trump's organized. It's insane.
Yeah, yeah, it is insane. And part of me is waiting for the ultimate shit show to happen, and then the other part of me is saying, please don't bring that same show to my door, please. But look at, I mean, I'm part of some of the stuff I actually agree with him on. I want to see the JFK files. Um, yeah, yeah, but a lot of it is just, I don't know. But then, I would have thought the biggest export from Colombia isn't actually the coffee bean; it would be the cocaine.
Well, that's
So
not
I
an
don't know.
export. That's an illicit trade. That's not.
Well,
Yeah,
yes,
it's a
yes.
little bit different. But yeah, no. That was the thing that everybody was talking about. It's like, oh, how stupid Trump is. He's gonna put a new tariff on Colombian coffee because like the vast majority of coffee that people drink in the United States is Colombian. It's like as if Trump gave a shit. And then of course Trump won. You can't mess with Trump this time around. He is really he's really quite effective. It's scary. All right, snooze debate. I am
Yeah.
Lee. Let's go back to the food talk. Let's jump back over to stereo and hear more from noise.
Oh, and also on the subject of just favorite condiments in general, I'm going to say my favorite condiment has to be hot sauce because hot sauce comes in a great wide variety. You have different flavors, different types of peppers, different types of hot sauce, different levels of heat. Hot sauce is great.
Can we all agree on hot sauce? Is there anyone among us over on Twitter Spaces or Stereo that disagrees with hot sauce?
I
I'm
love
looking at
hot
you,
sauce.
apostate Nader, Glenn. You guys got some weird food preferences. You guys are both okay with hot sauce?
I think they're both asleep, Lee.
Yeah, I think they hit the sauce too
Um,
hard. Yeah. Okay, so it
Maybe
looks like we're all good with hot sauce. Let's try to go through these messages over on stereo so they're not piling up too much. We're going to hear now from Meg the Frenchie again.
Probably one of my favorites is going to the movie theater and like going to the slushy machine and alternating like the Coke and the cherry and making your own cherry Coke slushy. It's like slushy icy. I don't know what you call it. I think it's called an icy, but it's like the best. See, I just don't understand the hype about flipping Dr. Pepper. I think Dr. Pepper is one of those drinks where it's like way too sweet, or the fact that they keep coming out with like these new flavors of Dr. Pepper, and I'm like, it's just sugar coated, sugar coated, sugar coated caramel. It's weird.
Yeah, like I said earlier, Dr. Pepper is not something I can drink that much, but I do enjoy it. I don't think it's that sugary. For me, the sugary one is always the one that makes no sense and is so sugary it should probably not be allowed as Mountain Dew. So I don't know, to each their own. I would call it a slushy. I know they sometimes are called ices, but I would call it a slushy. But I think the difference is that a slushy is like it's like a snow cone more. Like you have cut up ice and you add some flavor juice to it. An icy, I think, is one that's like pre-mixed and is spinning, and you bring down the handle and it just fills up the cup. I think that's an icy, but I don't know. To each their own. Now let's hear from the electrician again over on stereo.
Oh, hey, on the dirt road deal, on a B road where they don't grade it for a while, after time it weathers and it becomes I want to call it a wash pan. Is that a thing that people like use as an instrument sometimes and they rub their fingers on it? They used to rub clothes on it. Washboard. I can't think of it, but it's got ribs in the road. It's from the weather. That's what I was trying to tell you earlier. I know the difference between concrete dirt road, rocky road, gravel road. It's a dirt road with a washboard with a washboard weathered road because it hasn't been graded for a while. And what that does is it creates a series of bumps, and it's almost I would liken it to if you're going too fast, it would be kind of like hydroplaning because your tires are losing contact with the surface at a rapid rate over those little teeny bumps over what they call washboarded dirt road. That's all.
More than we ever wanted to know about dirt roads. Better call Sal. In Ireland, do you have dirt roads? Do you know what we mean? Like in America, in rural areas, you'll turn off of the pavement onto a dirt road.
Yes, we have dirt roads, but we also have back roads. We've main roads, side roads, and back roads. I would
What's the
live on
difference
a back
between
road.
a back road and a dirt road?
It's actually asphalt. It's tarmacadam, but it's barely wide enough for two cars.
Oh, okay. So it's like a one lane each direction road.
It's like just one lane, and you hope for the best. You don't meet something coming around the corner.
Well, wait. So there's one lane. What happens if someone comes at you from the other direction?
Well, you do what I did last May, and you crash into a tree rather than hit the oil truck.
How is that a good idea? You have to have a
Well,
lane for each direction.
well, there is, but we have like these like lay-ins where in the hedgerow, because it's like literally hit the truck or car or hit the stone wall, and it's easier to hit the stone wall than give yourself whiplash hitting a truck.
I thought
Yeah,
driving in the US was dangerous, but that sounds a little ridiculous. You guys pay taxes, right? Why don't you get that fixed? You live in a small country. You could redo your roads.
you have any idea how many back roads there are in Ireland? There
I
are
mean,
thousands and
there's a lot of
thousands of.
roads in the US. We drive more than you do.
Yeah, but you have a lot more space than we do. But no, I mean,
Yeah, so we
actually,
need more roads. You're not helping your cause. You have
when
more
they
people in a smaller space, or we have huge areas with less people, so we have to have more roads.
Yeah, well, it did get slightly wider when we hooked up to the main line of the water system, which I'm sorry we did because their pumps broke down last Friday and we also ran out of water. But yeah, I mean, but my father taught me how to drive, Lee. I can see about. I have a good perception of what's coming,
Except
even
for
around the corner.
this last time when you hit an embankment. What was
Well, well, basically, what happened was I skidded. I hit a mud patch. I came around the corner. There was a great big oil truck in front of me,
Were you
delivering
speeding?
home
You were
heating
speeding,
oil.
right? You were speeding.
No, I wasn't. I actually wasn't. I came around. I hit a muddy patch and hit the brake. The brakes locked up, and
You don't have anti-lock brakes? That's not a new
do.
technology.
Well, I do. I did. Well, I still do. Um, but I knew it was going to happen, so I kind of more veered into the tree rather than hit the oil truck because the oil truck would have hurt.
So you made it sound like you hit the oil truck before because the lanes are not big enough, but you hit the oil truck because you
No,
turned
I
the
didn't
corner
hit
and
the.
hit some mud, and then
I hit the tree to avoid hitting the oil truck.
yes, but my point is the way that you said it earlier sounded like just because the road is too small, but it's because there was mud. Had there not been mud, you
There's
could have
mud,
just
but
stayed on the road and not had any accident.
no, because I would have eventually skidded into the oil truck because it was in the middle of the road. There was nowhere to go.
So you're telling me that your country has roads that if there's an oil truck coming down it, you will get in an accident no matter what.
Well, no, not really. I mean, this is what I'm
So
saying.
so
So
let me try to make sense of this because what you're saying is nonsensical. So the oil truck did not go enough to one side. So the oil truck caused the accident.
no, there still wouldn't have been room for me to get past him.
Okay, so then what you are telling me is what you said you were not, but you actually are. Your country has roads that are so poorly designed that if there's an oil truck on it and another car is coming the opposite direction, there will always be an accident.
No, not necessarily.
Okay, then
It
I'm done
was
because you're not telling the
in
story well. So we'll just
in the
move on. Your roads are not good. That's
but no,
unfortunate. Everything else is good. No, I'm done. I tried figuring this out. You're not telling the story well. All right,
in
Apostate Nate, your hand is up.
lived here. I've only ever had one accident. That's it. That was it last May.
Great, we're done with this discussion. Apostate Nate.
Hey, yeah, I wasn't sleeping there, Lee. I lost my cell phone machine, and I was racing around for it. So I am multitasking
You
here.
lost your cell phone what?
Machine. That's just what
Machine?
I say sometimes.
Oh, your
Yeah,
cell phone.
that's a machine.
Leah, I lost my cell phone machine.
That's how I refer to it when my mom or dad can't figure it out. I'm like, you guys need to, learn how to use the cell phone machine again.
Oh, okay. So you like listening with wireless earbuds, but you put your phone down and couldn't find it.
Not earbuds, headphones. Headphones specifically tweaked to amplify the unique sounds of heavy metal.
Oh, but they're wireless headphones.
Correct. So
Okay,
sometimes I lose my phone.
Now I
and
understand. You put your phone down, you don't know where it is, but you can still hear it. Yes, I was not the one that said you were sleeping. That was Better Call Saul. It sounds like she's sleeping while she drives. But let me think here. What were we talking? Did you have something that you wanted to throw in, or were you just letting us know you were not sleeping?
I wanted to answer the hot sauce question, at least.
Yes, hot sauce. Is that something you also hate? Another great thing?
No, I like foods, especially. I will take my favorite snack, which I haven't had in a long time, just because depression just makes it hard for me to eat like I used to. Is to get a green bell pepper, a nice fresh one, maybe a couple, cut it up into slivers, and then I take the hottest salsa I can find, and then I put that salsa in a bowl and run an immersion blender around it because I like my salsa to have a uniform consistency, and it's usually very, very hot. I basically just buy the hottest I can find wherever it is. I don't even ask for anything lower than that. I like it when my mouth hurts. I do suffer sometimes in other ways from it, and
Haley, I like it when my mouth hurts. You got a pretty mouth. I like it when my mouth hurts.
Lee, I love hot food so hot that I'm like crying and almost in a fetal position. I want to eat food that hot.
All right. So you like hot sauce. That's great. I don't like hot sauce on everything, but very rarely, if there is hot sauce, like if I'm at a potluck or if I'm at someone's house and they put hot sauce down, very rarely would I not use it. That is always something that I'm open to. It's not something like I'm not Hillary Clinton where I carry hot sauce in my purse sort of situation. But yeah, hot sauce is great, especially the different kinds of hot sauces you can get. Now, I'm not like you, Nate. I don't like it when my mouth hurts. No, it's not me. But yeah, like especially like a Tabasco, just your normal Tabasco hot sauce. Oh yeah, that's great. Really do enjoy that. So I'm glad that okay, you and I were on the same page. You like tasty foods. Finally, we're back to you like tasty foods. Maybe let's start wrapping up the show. It's News Debate. We're going to finish up our messages over on stereo. We got a few more, and then we'll get some final comments, and then maybe say goodbye. I think we have to do these food shows more often because all the topics I prepared, we basically have not gotten to. So we didn't talk about, do you dip your French fries in ketchup or do you pour the ketchup on your French fries? Do you put ketchup on eggs? We haven't even talked about cilantro, which some people call coriander. We didn't talk about putting milk on cereal first or putting the milk in the bowl and then putting the cereal in. We haven't talked about, do you prefer crispy or chewy cookies? Do you like smooth or chunky peanut butter? Eating a pizza with a fork. This is my reference to Donald Trump. I don't do it often, but I like eating pizza with a fork. I think it's nice. I really like that. And we did talk about decaf. Oh no, we didn't talk about. Yeah, no, we talked a little bit about decaf coffee, not a lot. Yeah, we talked about that. Okay, so I got a lot more topics to get to, but I think we're just gonna have to wrap up the show. We've been going 2.5 hours, so let's just try to get through all of our stereo messages, and then we'll go back and hear from Apostate 8 and Better Call Sal before we end the show. Let's hear from, is this Noise again? Yeah, we got a lot from Noise on stereo.
So all those new Dr. Pepper flavors, like the what was it, the chocolate cake one or the cherry vanilla and all this, those are all blasphemous. No, those are not Dr. Pepper. There's only one Dr. Pepper. That's original. And yeah, maybe like it's like Dr. Pepper. I would describe like maybe like cross between like caramel and barbecue sauce. That's just the best way. But I don't know. It's like something about the way those two go together. I don't know. It's just like a bunch of weird flavor combinations that I like. And on the subject of if the Earth is either donut shaped or what's it called, or potato shaped, you're both wrong. Shaped like a damn taco. Oh, and on the subject of Mountain Dew, that shit is disgusting. It is the grossest thing I've ever tasted. It is an unnatural color. I mean, I know, um, things like Coke and Pepsi and Dr. Pepper have like all those dyes, but still, it is radioactive urine color. I don't know. And there's just this. I noticed there's actually this thing between like Mountain Dew drinkers and Dr. Pepper drinkers more than Coke and Pepsi. Like, yeah, uh, but Mountain Dew is just. Yes, Apostate Nate, exactly. He's got it right. Yes, give me that sweating, like dry heaving, uh, regretting it later on in the bathroom heat. Yes, give me that heat on heat on heat, like so hot that I can feel it in my toenails heat. And I think you're talking about the one with the one faking the whole hot sauce in the purse is Kamala Harris, who tried, the whole code switching thing, trying to play the whole ghetto black thing. I'm not. I'll get off that soapbox. But anyway, yes. Um, and going back again on hot sauce, another thing that's great about hot sauce is you have so many different types, right? Like think about it, like you have certain types of hot sauce for certain types of food, like you have Asian hot sauce, you have Latino hot sauce, you have American hot sauce. You just have all different types of hot sauce, and it is awesome.
We have hot sauces that are as diverse as Kamala Harris. No, you are wrong. Kamala Harris may have made a hot sauce reference, but Hillary Clinton was the one who said that she carried around hot sauce in her purse. One of the many interesting things that she said, including the basket of deplorables, the way she described Donald. So you'd think my fellow Democrats would learn, but of course they never do. To put down Trump voters didn't work with Hillary. Basket of deplorables didn't work with Kamala either. But I bet you they're going to try to do that again. He won't run again, but though the next person who runs for president as a Democrat, they will, for some reason, put down Trump supporters or put down Republicans in general, and they'll lose again. For some reason, Democrats do not learn. Republicans can do that. Republicans can put down Democrats. It works with their base. It works with the demographics that support them. But it's not equal and opposite. You can't do it from the other side. Let's hear one more from Noise. Thanks for all the great messages. And then we'll jump back over to Twitter Spaces.
Anybody who puts the milk in before the cereal is a fucking psychopath. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for that discussion, but I agree with you. I can never imagine putting the milk in first. Maybe it's a certain type of cereal, like a certain type of granola, and there's a reason. But just generally, if you're just generally eating cereal, you put the cereal in and then you put the milk in. But another interesting question that hopefully we'll get to, we'll do more food shows, is do you use milk or do you use yogurt? I'm a milk with cereal person, but there are certain cereals that I have enjoyed with yogurts. So that's another question. And I think those are the best food questions. It's not the do you like hot sauce or do you not like hot sauce? Do you like ham and pineapple pizza or do you not? My favorite food questions are how do you eat your eggs? How do you eat your cereal? Because most people eat eggs, most people eat cereal. So then it really gets into regionalism and just personal preferences. Like I said, I think a lot of kids will put ketchup on everything. And when I was growing up, if I had really bad, crappy eggs, I would just put ketchup on them. So I don't do that as an adult. But if I ever have an opportunity where I'm eating like cafeteria eggs, I'll put some ketchup on them because it gives them some flavor. And I learned that when I was a kid. Those are my favorite discussions. Let's jump back over here. We're going to hear from Apostate Nate, then we're going to hear from Better Call Sal, and we'll wrap up the show. Big thanks to Noise, who left us a bunch of messages over on stereo. Yes, Apostate Nate.
Just a couple bits for final thoughts here, Lee. I think it's important that even though the name of this soda was very offensive, much in like, the Uncle Ben's and Aunt Jemima category for food, it was such a deliciously tasty soda and so bad for you. And that was Cherokee Red, which is no longer in production.
Cherokee Red was a hot sauce? It was a soda? What was it?
It was a cherry flavored soda, topping at about 47 grams of sugar for a 12-ounce can. It was delicious, and we should remember that. And my other closing thought, Lee, has to do with the fact that I think, and this is something I think we should all think about. It might be the most important question. What was that awful and how did I survive eating this combination you had as like an adolescent? For me, it was a box of Little Debbie Star Crunches and about 2 liters of Mountain Dew a day in the summer. That's nostalgia.
Yeah, I've had Star Crunches, and I drank a lot of Mountain Dew growing up, and I try to avoid it now, like we heard from Noise over on Stereo. I'm sharing this over on twitch.tv/NEWC debate and also rumble.com/user/NEWC debate. I've never seen this before in my life, but it's Cherokee Red. It's a red can or a red 2 liter with, you see in the 2 liter, you see the red liquid as well. It is what looks to me like a very old version of like the Kansas City Chiefs logo, where it's the headdress, but the headdress is being worn by a Native American man. Um, yeah, this is definitely aged. If this was still being sold, they would probably not have the man. At the most, they'd have like a headdress, or maybe they would even get rid of the logo and just call themselves Cherokee Red. But yeah, I've never seen this ever. Wow. Was that regional? Could I have bought that anywhere back in the day, or was that only in a certain part of the country?
Oh my goodness, that I don't know, Lee. Some of those sodas are very regional. That's a good question.
Was it was it a cherry? Is that what the red was?
Correct.
Okay. And it was good?
Oh, Lee, it was divine. Divine. I have friends that are still in tears over its absence.
Well, I wish I would have been able to try it. We have someone called the Old Man who was requested to speak over on Twitter. We're winding down, but the Old Man, if you want to jump in here, we've been talking about food. We were just finishing up. What's your final thought before we close down the show?
I would say a food that everyone should try, especially people in the North. Grits.
Okay, so this is
Nice
really good.
bowl
Let's
full of
spend some
hot
time
grits.
on this. I've heard of grits. I don't know what grits are. What are grits?
It's basically ground corn, ground in a grist mill into tiny particles, and then it's made into a applesauce kind of a sauce kind of a thing.
I'm looking at it
With
on Google
butter
right
and
now,
salt.
and it seems to have a bunch of butter in it. Is that how you would eat grits?
That is how, yes. Some people eat with sugar. I do not.
And do you have this as a side for like a meal, or is this something you can eat for breakfast?
It's mostly a side for breakfast, but we have had some breakfasts where we just had that and a piece of toast.
Okay, so but
It's
grits
very,
are
it's very filling.
breakfast
Yeah.
food that you would have it for lunch or dinner.
Yes, I have had it for lunch and dinner.
Okay, so it's
you
not
would
like
you would
oatmeal. You can
fix
have it all the time.
well, no, you would fix grits in the South with salmon patties, for instance, or grits and shrimp. You know, if you were down even further south from me, down Louisiana.
And why do you think this is something that has not become more of a norm everywhere across the US, the way that people have eggs for breakfast or pancakes, or the way they have any food for lunch or dinner? Why has this remained more of a regional Southern thing?
I would say it's a cultural thing.
But
I have no
but like
idea why
fried
it has not
chicken
made it like
is like across the country. Like fried chicken
you're
didn't
right.
start in like Maine, but you know, they have fried chicken in Maine. Why have grits not caught on the way that some Southern food has? Barbecue, sure, certainly, like the barbecue places are in the South, but you can get barbecue all over the country.
Sure you can, but it's different types. You only get one type of grits. One type of grits. I just don't think it's that popular of a side dish, especially in the North. We have oatmeal. You have what's that?
Cream of wheat.
Cream of wheat. Yes, thank you. Which is probably pretty much oatmeal, but you know.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had grits. I'm not opposed to it by any means. I wasn't even sure what it was. So that's why I had to look it up, and it was great that hear you explain it. Is there like a specific region of the South or a specific state that's like we're the home of grits, or is it just kind of a Southern food in general?
I think it's the Southern food in general. I don't think there's one state that has better grits than the other. Like
But is grits more of
if you
like
go,
is it like more of a Louisiana, Alabama thing than like a Florida thing?
okay, so in the down south states like Florida or Louisiana, you'd have shrimp and grits or shrimp and some sort of seafood, right? Up here in Georgia, where I'm at, North Georgia, you just have grits and butter and salt. You know. Now, when you go up a little further north, some people put sugar in their grits, which I do not recommend.
Wow. Yeah, take that, sugar grits. All right. Well, this is great. Sorry, we're just winding down the show, but I'm glad that you joined us because I've heard of grits. I've heard of grits many times, and I just had no idea what it was. So stay with us, old man. It's News Debate. I'm Lee. We're going to hear one more message over on stereo, and then we'll finish up over on Twitter Spaces. Let's hear from Noise again. I think Noise had a comment about grits.
As a Californian, I'm just going to say that grits are great. I agree.
There it is. Somebody over in California is eating grits. Okay, let's hear from Better Call Sal, and then the Apostate Nate. If there's anything else that you want to add, or Old Man, if there's anything you want to add, we'll hear you after Better Call Sal. Better Call Sal, great to have you on the show. I hope that your power and everything starts going your way over in Ireland, where you just had the big storm. Have anything else to say before we end the show?
Yeah, basically, I am prepared to come to America and eat my way across the country. I love the idea. I love the idea of grits, old man. I just love that idea. Yeah, ketchup rocks, mayonnaise rocks.
Do you
The
have
world
anything
is
like grits in Ireland?
no.
Anything similar?
Well, we have something called black pudding, which is barley, oats, some pork, and the blood of a pig, which is what makes it black. And it sounds like it sounds disgusting, but it's amazing. And again, ketchup. Oh, it's a breakfast dish. And we also have white pudding that doesn't have the blood of the pork in it. It has a little bit more sausage in it, and that's also really good. But I'm definitely coming to America, and I'm going to eat my way across the country.
That sounds pretty good.
I want to try everything. I want real ribs. I mean, we just have we just get this kind of watered down version of America. I yeah, I want somebody to barbecue a rack of ribs for me and real barbecue sauce. And I mean, seriously, guys, you seriously know how to eat in America.
Now that I can do. If you come to, all right, DM me.
Oh, I will. Hang on, I follow you first.
And you guys can hang out with Ron in Georgia. Ron also, who's not with us right now, but big friend of the show, Patreon supporter at patreon.com/NEWZ debate. He's in Georgia, so he knows all about whether or not he cooks it. He definitely his entire life has been eating that kind of food.
That's where I'm at in North Georgia, personally.
I just crave real ribs. And I mean, because we have these tiny little short ribs. I want a rib that looks like a rib.
Everything's tiny in Ireland. Leprechauns are like 2 inches tall, and your ribs are tiny. Yeah. Old Man and Better Call Sal, you guys connect. So you guys friend each other, follow each other, and do all that stuff. Then final word here. Let's hear from Apostate Nate over on Twitter.
So yes, grits are popular in the South. I used to vacation in South Carolina with my parents quite on the regular growing up. My father would always order grits. Why are they not a staple around the country like waffles and toast with jam and so forth? And I would say it's because I think many people, like me, hold the opinion that grits are the closest thing that you can get going back to baby food with your breakfast.
So it tastes like warm, savory baby food because baby food doesn't have like a lot of butter flavor, right?
I can't handle the consistency, and I've never done the research on this, but I bet you that's the number one complaint about grits for people like me who don't really care for them. My father loves them; he gets so excited, and I'm happy for him. More grits for him then.
Whether or not they become my favorite food, I bet I'd like them. I don't think I've ever had anything that was considered Southern
Well,
that I
I mean,
hated. I think it's always pretty good.
you could do so many things with grits, guys. You could add shrimp. You could add peppers. You could add sugar. You could add sausage. You could add sausage gravy. You could add cheese.
Hey, old man, could you put dill pickles in grits?
Hey, sure you could, but I don't know if it'd be any
apostate
good.
Nate. You hear that? You could take your fantastic dill pickles that you love and put them in grits, and you remember your father because he loved grits, and of course, apostate Nate is our number one fan of dill pickles. All right, that's a reference from earlier in the show. Big thanks to apostate Nate who hates dill pickles. Better Call Sal, the old man who joined us at the end of the show. The old man, hope you can join us for future shows. Thanks for jumping in. Noise, everybody else who joined us on Stereo and Twitter Spaces, your names escape me. Really appreciate you guys. You can listen to this show in its entirety on Twitter Spaces. I have it saved. It'll be saved after the show. So twitter.com/NEWC debate. You can also watch the video at rumble.com/user/NEWC debate, as well as twitch.tv/NEWC debate. All my links at bit.ly/NEWC debate. If you really like the show and want to be a co-host, support the program every month over on patreon.com/NEWZ debate. Take care, everybody. I'll schedule a show sometime for next week. Probably not a food show, but I would like to bring food shows back from time to time. We've never done a show entirely focused on food, and we didn't even get to half of the things that we had planned. So I think this is a fun topic that we can do from time to time. Take care, everybody. Have a good rest of your night, and bye-bye.